Ah, shit. It's because of the... I'm going to have to leave the Zoom in order to do this, I think. Let me do that. I'll leave the Zoom. Um... Shit. I can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear you right now. I see your thumbs up. Oh, fuck. I don't know why I can't hear you. Let me play with some settings here. Oh, here we go. Hello? Fuck. I can hear you, Marcus. I can't hear Jason.
I can't hear shit.
What the fuck?
I can't hear shit. I can't hear shit.
Marcus, can you hear me? This is so fucking weird. I've never had this problem before.
Well, that's all fucked. I don't even know.
I'm trying, man. Let me bear with it. It's great if you guys can hear me, but I can't hear Jason. Like whatever you guys can hear. I see you in the chat, but I can't hear him for some reason. Yes. The chat is going to have to relay messaging to us. And my camera is now backwards for some reason. It's which is throwing me off. What the fuck? And I don't think Marcus can hear me at all, or either of us.
I can hear only people.
Let me exit out of a few things, and maybe that will help. I'm not sure. Like the only thing I have open on my computer now is this one window. Hoping that like my mic isn't just trying to fuck with me. Here, let me shit. Do me a favor, Jason. DM us the link to the restream on Twitter, and then I'm gonna try and do it that way after I like close out, because it might be some kind of weird microphone mishap happening. If you want to just DM it to us, I'll do it that way. I'll be right back. Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear Jason. I don't know why. I can't hear I can hear you, Marcus.
Oh, yeah, I can't hear Jason, but I can hear you.
You can't hear Jason either?
No.
Well, fuck.
So is this okay, yeah, this is a strange chat from the stream itself. That's like, okay, this is confusing a little bit, but super awesome.
Our raid might have done this. I'm playing with my audio outputs and inputs. And I can't.
You're gonna have inputs and they have outputs. And outputs and inputs.
And everyone can hear us just fine. Including Jason. I can see your chats, Jason. Shit. Jason, what we might need to do is shit. I don't know, because you're using Restream, so you can do it on. Do you know sign language? I don't know sign language. That's not going to help very much.
No.
It might be that
it looks. I can say that he looks like he's saying something very interesting.
I know. I believe it.
Yeah. You know what I like, and like that thing too is like, this is kind of funny because I'm enjoying this a little bit. It's like I like Jason's little like hat that's like the Navy skull beanie things. You know what I'm saying? The night watch. Those motherfuckers used to wear that type of shit. Like, oh, I'm badass because I got a beanie on. It's like, motherfucker.
He looks like one of those Colorado teens trying to take down some Russians in Red Dawn. Wolverines!
No, we don't say that word around here. That's the only bad thing about the fucking movie. It shouldn't be the Wolverines.
Okay.
Buckeyes.
What should we do here, gents? I think actually, Jason, you might be able to hit us up in the private chat, like that's on the lower left-hand side. That might work if you want to try and unplug our headphones. I could try that. Yeah, my headphones are unplugged now. Let me try my audio outputs and change that. That's my input. Let's go to default. Someone seems to think it might be a recording issue.
Now can you hear me?
Oh, shit. Yes.
Yeah. We're all good? Are we all connected?
Oh,
good?
Fuck. Now I can't hear Marcus. What the fuck?
Look, watch this. Look. And now Marcus is no more.
What the hell? Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Marcus just got Thanos'd.
You snapped him away.
I fucking Thanos the shit out of Marcus.
He came back. Say something, Marcus, please.
Marcus, got to fix your audio, blood. That's you got to look at your core audio. Fuck yeah, look at that. Is that a Thanos? Is that a Thanos thing? Fuck yeah. But while Marcus is trying to fix his audio, Dick, I wanted to kind of get in on the conversation that we were having, because we were having like 5 different really interesting conversations before we started this shit.
We couldn't stop, yeah.
And our first conversation was about ABCAB and police violence.
ACAB.
ACAB. What? You know what the fuck I mean.
Come on. The Zoomers are going to come after us if you don't get the
button shit. Don't let the button up get you fucked up, Dick.
Wait. Here, I'll just loosen this top button. It's a little better now. All right.
Let's see. I'm gonna try to hit him with this thing one more time. If this helps.
The chatbot says you can only have 2 speakers at a time. R.I.P. the chatbot, which is confusing because it sounds like there's an actual chatbot telling us what to do. Like you're saying,
I just had 3 cats on here, and one of them was in fucking Portugal. No excuses.
I think. I mean, they didn't do a raid.
I can hear Marcus.
Portugal got better internet.
Yeah,
Let's
go! We got it! We made it happen. Hopefully everyone didn't leave the fucking chat.
Everybody left the chat. We had hella people, and now fucking shit's all bad. So now I gotta send private messages and shit like, "Hey, we fixed the fucking audio. Please don't go.
Come back, please."
Fix the audio."
I'm looking at the private chat. I'm looking at Marcus saying, "I don't know what the fuck to do." In the private chat. Calling you out, man.
But back to I have a whole list of things. It's actually really not that long. It's not that long.
Let's do it.
But so now that everybody can hear me, my first question was, would y'all be mad at me if I got Red Dawn action figures?
Well, no. So that, I mean, like, as long as we establish it's like the original Red Dawn, not the fucking bullshit. You're like, I ain't mad at that. Like, I'm happy you got some money to spend.
No, I don't. I'm just my attitude towards creditors is just way different. Like, fuck y'all. Like, fuck y'all. Fuck y'all. Dick Gregory had a bit on Democracy Now! About creditors that has stuck in my mind. He said that he had been paying the minimum payment on something for like 20 years, and a creditor had called his house, and his wife was all like worried that these people had like were calling the house about this bill. Mm-hmm. And I'm totally paraphrasing. And he got on the phone and was like, "Well, have I paid it in the last 20 years?" And the person was like, "No." He goes, "Well, what makes you think you're going to get me to pay it now?"
That's a very good question.
And I was like, you know what? Fuck them.
It's a very, very, very good question.
I mean, they got their original investment back plus a little bit more. Trying to get all the rest of this shit, you can eat all kinds of dicks.
Yeah, I mean, money is fake, credit is fake. So, why not get you the Red Dawn action figures that you deserve?
Yeah.
And they're not just for me, it's for my son, too. We can all play with the Red Dawn action figures.
And I second what Marcus said, which is that I don't know if you've seen the remake of Red Dawn, but it is absolute complete dog shit. You don't need to watch it. Thor is in it. There is like there's one point in the movie where it becomes self-aware and tries to toss. I'll never forget this. I will never fucking forget watching this movie where Thor, like, he is supposed to be in the movie. Like, he comes back from Iraq, right? And then he's fighting.
What it is?
Yeah. He comes back from Iraq and he's fighting off the like Chinese Korean invasion that like is the new Red Dawn, right? Mm-hmm. And at one point he says they realize that like, wait a minute, were the Iraqis doing the same thing that we're doing in this movie? Like they become self-aware, and he goes, when we were in Iraq, we were trying to restore order. It was different. Now we're fighting for freedom. It's just like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about, you dumb shit?
So it was way worse then.
Oh, way.
It sounds like it was way worse than I thought. You know what? A friend of mine, a good friend of mine, is a producer on the new Karate Kid, and I won't watch it.
Oh, you mean Cobra Kai?
No. The new Karate Kid, the one with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith.
Oh, shit.
Oh, wow.
Won't watch it.
That was like 10 years ago, dude.
Still won't watch it.
Man.
I love this guy. He might be watching the thing right now. I love this man. Good guy. Won't watch that shit. Leave it alone. Leave it alone, Devon, Will Smith.
I watched it because I have a thing for Taraji P. Henson there. Sorry. I watched She's the Mom, and it was just like, I had to. I couldn't help it. I just want to see her and everything.
can't fuck with it. Cobra Kai, I fucks with Cobra Kai.
I haven't watched Cobra Kai. I hear good things though.
Oh my god, I was so fired. I didn't want to watch the second season because I knew I was going to get giddy, and so we watched the second season like last week. I was giddy as fuck, and man, John Kreese. Here's a question for y'all, real quick. John Kreese, who is the Cobra Kai dojo sensei, is that an accurate portrayal of like anyone that you dealt with in the service?
Wait, is he supposed to like have gone in the military after he lost? Is that the story?
So wait. Are you talking about the original? So both, right? So like, I don't know who you're talking about. The original, like the fucking wrinkly thumb looking motherfucker.
Oh, what happened? His internet went no.
Oh shit.
His internet stopped.
You died, wasted.
Damn, dude.
Let me anticipate what he was gonna say. So, are we talking about? So, like, did fucking Cobra Kai kid who was gonna sweep the leg? Did he join the military after? Is that the mythos or what?
Yeah, right. So Johnny kind of, I guess the guys that wrote it were on some like, what would have happened to Johnny had, Ralph Macchio wins. So Johnny kind of, his life spirals out of control.
Yeah.
And he's kind of just stuck in 1984. And Ralph Macchio is a huge success. But what's kind of odd about the whole thing is like, I refuse to believe that winning a karate tournament in your senior year of high school is that epic where everyone in the valley knows who you are. Like that's where movie stars live, dude, in the valley of Southern California. So I refuse to believe that they're all hung up on like that 1984 tournament.
What's the classic like 80s movie thing, or not even 80s movie, like any movie thing of like whatever the movie is focused on is like all the newspaper headlines are like obscure contest is biggest news in area kind of thing,
Yeah. Yeah. But that's what it is, but it's a good show. So
really, it would be the inverse, right? Like Ralph Macchio would have got like a big chip on his shoulder and believe that like he nerded his way into kicking Johnny's ass, and Johnny would be like a stockbroker, and Ralph Macchio would be like the guy at the grocery store who's like doesn't have any health care and is like bagging groceries. And be like, I won a huge karate contest one time, trying to like bang like cashier girls in the freezer,
It's you gotta watch it. You just gotta watch it. If you like the Karate Kid movies, if you watch Karate Kid movies, I think you would enjoy it. What say you in the chat? Are you guys fans of Cobra Kai? I mean, the show was so fucking huge, Netflix bought it from YouTube. So it wasn't like it was just me watching it 445 times.
I remember hearing about it when it came out on YouTube.
People were signing up for YouTube for that shit.
Yeah, it was like probably one of the biggest shows they had, but they did sell. I mean, I think they realized they squeezed all the juice they could out of it, so they sold it to Netflix.
Oh wow, somebody said they didn't watch it. That is sad. If you've never seen the original Karate Kid, you really won't like Cobra Kai because it is very cheesy. It's got an after-school special vibe.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think that's the only way it would work, though, right? I mean,
it just oozes this '80s fucking cheese.
Well, yeah, but it'd be weird if they were like, here's a gritty, like fucking Christopher Nolan Karate Kid. Like, Ralph Macchio is a cop and Johnny is a drug dealer he has to take down. And they're both just like doing coke off each other's asses. Like, they're both like also like gay for each other, but they want to shoot each other. Like, it's like Heat only with a gay tension. Like, that would be like the Zoomer Doomer version of like, what if we brought back Karate Kid? It was super fucked and everyone fucked and sucked and killed each other,
My girl says it reminds her of like something from 2006 from some of the references. So
okay.
You can take that as you know.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of that though. There's nostalgia for that time, like right now, like as like soon as that was like 15 years ago, but like Jon Stewart just made a movie that is like distinctly Like, I don't know if you heard about it, like Irresistible with Steve Carell and shit. That is like the most
I've heard of it.
2009 movie there ever was. It's basically like, money in politics is the problem. And it's like, dude, we are in full fash. What are you talking about? Fuck off.
Do you think, and now back to the
Marcus is going to smoke.
he's gonna go smoke more. Do you feel that, like, I'm always a big believer of, and I say it as much as possible because I really want people to understand. I think that the Reagan Thatcher era of the 80s, pushing so much intellectualism is bad, defunding things like public television here in the United States, where we used to see these Noam Chomsky debates and Baldwin debating William Buckley and shit like that. Like, making that so passe. How do we kind of right that ship? How do we get back to having more intellectual conversations without it being?
I would disagree with you that was. I would say that, like, all that served to do was legitimize the, like, proto-fash opinions of people like Buckley. It's like I don't think that, like, I don't find those debates to be particularly intellectual. I find Buckley to be very good at conveying, like, what a fucking, like, conservative douche articulate is, like, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, if you look at his body of work, like, he literally, like, legitimized fascism many different ways over. Like there were legitimate public relations efforts to get Buckley to buy into the idea that, like, Pinochet wasn't a fascist dictator who was, like, literally burning people alive and shit like that, Like, so what we had I feel like it was just a veneer. It was a porcelain veneer over rotten teeth kind of thing of, like, we had these debates between people who were like, you had like James Baldwin even who would debate Buckley, right? At like Oxford, famously, right? But, like, if you listen to Baldwin closely, he'd be like, this is part of the problem, Like I love. Don't get me wrong. I love James Baldwin. I wouldn't shit on a single word he's ever uttered because he's fucking a hero. That guy is the pinnacle of what I think like the commentary can be. But he recognized he had to operate within a system that was deeply flawed from the ground up, right? And I think that what we're seeing now is just the split of that dichotomy. Whereas we had a single platform where these debates could be aired, and, like, people had to have a veneer of civility in order to even be able to participate in those debates. What you're seeing now is the frustration on every side cause a splintering effect. Where, like, we're sitting here on this platform having this debate right now, talking about an ideology that we're relatively, like, aligned on, right? But this was an inevitable outcome when you have the polarization at each extreme end of the spectrum, because that's what the policy reflects, is, like, the horrible centrist hellscape that we've been living in, where, like, the Overton window has only expanded. It hasn't shifted. It's expanded on either end. That's the argument that I've been going with, is that, like, you can't separate the idea of, like, oh, we're both ends of the spectrum are too extreme. It's that the debate has become necessary for the polarization to happen, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think William Buckley is a good dude. I mean,
I don't. I didn't think you were saying that. I'm sorry.
I wasn't a fan of his work. There's if people don't know who he is or are interested at all, was it The Nation magazine that he started?
Yeah, it's The Nation. Because The Nation is now. I forget
what magazine he started. It's a right-wing magazine he started.
The Federalist, The Nation. I get them confused.
But also he used to have these really good debates with Gore Vidal, and
Yes.
Gore Vidal pissed him off to the point where he, like, lost his shit.
He called him a queer or something.
Yeah, some shit like that, or basically challenge him to a fight. One of those like put up your Duke shit, like Family Guy used to make the jokes about him, like if you get your comeuppance, like one of those. And there's a whole documentary about that, and then like the downfall of William Buckley after he kind of uttered those words to Gore Vidal, and
because he was the bastion of conservative civility about how like his show was all about how actually like the liberals, because this liberal, like the conservative grievance thing has been going on since William F. Buckley hit center stage, right? So William F. Buckley created his show because he believed that like actually the media is very liberal, and what I actually believe is if I had a show where I could challenge liberals with actual conservative articulate talking points, their ideals would fall apart if I were to challenge them. And he did a very good job, actually, of a lot of times, like people weren't, it's like the Jordan Peterson doing that interview with what's her name from the BBC and her getting owned because she wasn't prepared for the interview. Like,
did she really get? Okay.
I feel like
it's interesting that you say that, because, and I'm assuming with your guys' chat and people that I know, we're probably not going to get too many Jordan Peterson fans, but I'm always surprised at that shit.
The Chaos Dragon is constantly orbiting around the order of.
What did he say about the double helix?
Well,
hey, get the fuck out of here.
Well,
Word
I
salad
really
ass
believe
motherfucker.
that, like, the ancients had a perception of what DNA was, and when this is the double helix of this, a lot of people will tell you that they just drew two snakes fucking, but really, I think that they understood what DNA was, and that's
and clean your room, just go clean your room.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let me give you advice how to live your life.
Think. So Jordan Peterson started showing up in a YouTube feed. This is years ago, like right when that shit had happened. And I was like, who's this guy? And I watched something he was saying about trans people. And I was like, this doesn't seem, he seems kind of like a dick. And then the conversation with the interviewer, I can't think of her name.
It's Catherine something. I forget her name too.
And the caption was, watch this lady get owned. Mm-hmm. So I sat there and I kept waiting for the moment, the gotcha moment. And I was like, this dude is kind of full of shit. And I think that he can't answer a real question and he talks around it.
Kathy Newman, Ritalin says in the chat, is her name. Yes, that's thank you. Thank you, Ritalin.
Thank you.
No, so I get where you're coming from there, meaning like, you could watch that debate from a measured perspective and think, well, she didn't do that bad. But what I would say is if you watch it from a layman's perspective, like if you try to detach yourself from the ideology that we subscribe to, or try to put yourself in the shoes of like a Ben Shapiro logic bro, he talks around it is the perfect way to describe his debate style, is what says 40 ounce to freedom. Like in the chat, he's saying that right now. He's absolutely right. He talks around what Kathy is trying to like challenge him on. Kathy thinks that she can be like, but don't trans people, like, aren't they people? Don't they deserve rights? And he's like, well, yes, I've never said they don't deserve rights. All I said was I wouldn't call them by a state-prescribed pronoun. Like, he does like a weird, like qualification for his thing.
Oh, like, outrage, right?
Well, not even that, because the faux outrage is the standard conservative thing. He does an alternative conservative thing, like some might call an alt-right thing. Oh no, I just said the word. He says, like, and he doesn't do it from like a perspective of white nationalism. He does it from a perspective of like white logic bro, of being like, I never said I wouldn't call my student if they asked me to call them a her when I thought it was a he. I never said I wouldn't do that. All I said was I wouldn't call them a he if the state told me I had to call them a he. And I'd go to jail. And I'd say, I won't do it, kind of shit. Like he was trying to say that, like, his objection wasn't coming from a place of bigotry. It was coming from a a stance of logical like freedom without having. Literally said, "I won't cede ground to the left. I will not cede ground to them."
And it's on some kind of like super duper bullshit to me, because I had a professor on one of my more recent shows, a gentleman named Clyde Barrow, who wrote a book about Trump and what he calls the lumpen proletariat. And he compares the rise of Trump to Marx's 18th Brumaire, where he's talking about Napoleon the Third, or Louis Bonaparte the Third, and how that reign started with kind of this appealing to a certain class of people. And I definitely agreed with a lot that he had to say, but I think it might have been an off-air part of the conversation when we were getting ready to hang up. He's a Marxist professor in deep fucking Texas. I mean, this guy is way south, like border town Texas.
Really?
And yeah, and he left LA. And he's like, there's just not a lot of room for Marxist professors in universities. But when you hear the Weinsteins and the Petersons and the Shapiros talk, you would think that these people dominate faculty, and that's just not the case.
Well, what I will say is I did some research here. It's funny you say this. So I became enamored with Jordan Peterson and what he represented when he became when his book came out, and he became like in the zeitgeist, like a talking point of a lot of people. Because there is a weird fascination you can have with him in terms of like, he is very intellectually stimulating. I will say that about him. I find him abhorrent if you take a look at him for more than 5 seconds. Don't get me wrong. But what I looked into was he was citing an actual study, like a peer-reviewed journal that said like there was a plurality of surveyed professors that had it was some kind of like identification with Marxism, right? And he uses that as a talking point to say that like this is what cultural Marxism is, you know. So he tries to extend the idea that like 1/3 of the professors surveyed said that they would call themselves a Marxist, to say that what they're doing is exercising cultural Marxism. And what people like, I don't know if you've ever watched ContraPoint's video on Jordan Peterson, but she does a very good job.
One of them, yeah.
It's very good. Like I highly recommend. A lot of people have a lot of problems with ContraPoints, but like I do think her shit on Jordan Peterson is some of the best shit that's ever been done on him.
Yeah.
And what she says, as she points out, is like there is an inherent contradiction in his idea that like the left is a monolith of cultural Marxism. Like the idea that postmodernism and Marxism are aligned. Like they're fucking directly in conflict with one another. Like we are constantly telling each other, like the ID poll postmodernists, we're telling them like, yeah, sorry that like there's not enough like trans black lesbians who are in power, but also like a lot of us are poor, you know? And then they're being like, you're a bunch of fucking like brocialists who are fucking telling every woman, you know, and person of color that they like for some reason don't have enough material condition to enter your circles. And both those things can be true. Like there is a divide there. There is a real divide there that we are constantly trying to actually like genuinely contend with, because it is a fucking problem on both sides of the spectrum. Jordan Peterson seems to try and make the argument that the divide doesn't exist. We are completely aligned, and we are both trying to create a communist empire and make everyone a black trans lesbian at the same time, which is just not true.
Not true. If that was true, Bernie Sanders would be the Democratic candidate, and we wouldn't be sitting here trying to raise crazy amounts of money to have people like Shahid Buttar and Charles Booker defeat these longtime centrist candidates that kind of just support the empire, right?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like if we were aligned, then you wouldn't have seen. But I mean, this is the thing, right? So this argument isn't made to a person people like us who are following closely the fuckery that happened in the Democratic primary, right? Like this argument is made to the disaffected white male college postgrad who like one time got yelled at by a black feminist in one of his like political science classes, and he's still mad about it 2 years later. You know, and he doesn't have a job, and he's living in his mom's basement or something like that. Like he doesn't, like, like his material conditions are bad, but he believes it to be the cause of some ID poll communist or like some attribute he has assigned to this person that doesn't actually exist, right? Like he has conflated these individuals in their mind, and he believes that his material condition that is terrible, is objectively terrible, and someone like Bernie could probably improve and would try to. He believes that it's actually the fault of some kind of social justice warrior is the potential there. And like his testosterone levels aren't as high. He's a virgin when he should be a Chad because of all the soy that the people made him.
The soy boy shit.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what that shit kind of boils down to me? Like, I feel like it's jealousy because they see the fucking trans black girl having the most happening party on campus, and they
sucking and fucking everyone that they want to suck and fuck.
Yeah, and they're like,
yeah, why can't I?
That actually, so like, no bullshit. I was on a tour. So for those of you that are new to This Is Revolution, this show started as something to do while my band Bitter Lake was not on tour. So I play heavy punky music, and I was on tour throughout the US and Canada last fall. And the band we were on tour with had a pretty big trans following, non-binary following. And we played a show in Richmond, Virginia, and there definitely was I wouldn't say a split crowd. There was just, it was by a college. I couldn't tell you the name of the college off the top of my head. Virginia Commonwealth University, I think was a college it was by. So it was a college-y kind of crowd.
VCU.
And VCU, yeah. And it was a cool spot. Everything was going well. Like, we fucking did the thing, and there was a mosh pit, and it was awesome. And there was hella black people there. I don't necessarily see shit like that at metal shows. I was like, fuck yeah. In Richmond, Virginia. I was like, and I'm from Richmond, California. So I was like, oh yeah, Richmond is the shit. This is the shit. We're having a good time. And all of a sudden, this girl, bow, socked this white dude. What's going on? We were just having this great pit, and everybody's jumping and having a good time. What's happening? Shit. And then, you know, to your point, to a degree, he had a patch on his jacket that was of a black metal band that is known for being racist.
Oh, shit.
But in that community, and not to say it's okay to support racist bands, right? Mm-hmm. In that community, I think the overt racism of this person is almost looked at as a joke. Like, people like this don't really exist. They're not real. I don't follow his teachings. I just dig this music because these guys were kind of one of the first bands to do this genre of music. And, you know, I would have preferred to have seen a deeper conversation on like, well, hey, bro, why you got that on? And you see all these brothers in here, like, you wearing that, and we gonna know what it is. Like, are you trying to tell me to get fucked? Because if so, then you can kick rocks.
Yeah, yeah. You're the one who's gonna get fucked.
Yeah, we're deep tonight. Like, it's not what you're used to tonight. So you might want to be on your P's and Q's, homie.
Nazi punks, fuck off.
Just there was nothing said, homie. Just, she saw the patch, socked him. Security came up, confused. It was the most confusing thing I've ever seen. Right?
You didn't know what was going on at the time.
I didn't know what was happening. Everybody were like high fiving. I'm in the crowd. I'm like, this shit is awesome. First of all, again, I'm at a metal show with a fuck ton of black people. Mm-hmm. For me, this isn't normal. Mm-hmm. So my band is juiced. Fucking, we're talking to people. Like, this is dope to me.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I see a white dude on the floor. I'm like, damn. And I see the girl standing over him. Like, man. Like, and security came up. They had the same face. Like, word? He was so confused because the white dude got up confused. Security goes, I just got to throw you out.
Wait, to the white dude?
To the white dude, he was like, I just got to throw you out.
Shit. That's dope.
He was like, I don't know what it happened so quick. He was like, I don't know what happened. Sorry, bro. You're part of this somehow.
I don't know what happened. It's your fault. And he went. He was like, "Order chaos is the dragon."
but my thought was, because the kids ended up going outside, and they kind of had a conversation about it. Mm-hmm. And the conversation got deep, man. And it kind of like, I'm sitting here watching it like, wow, this is deep. The girl had yelled out that I guess there's a clique of people in their scene that rock this Nazi shit, and they know when black kids come up with like, we rock this shit in front of you, so you fucking know what the deal is.
Yeah, so she knew this was a sign. Yeah,
so she was like, if you rock that shit when you come here, you know already what it is, and you're part of this crew that just you and I'm totally paraphrasing. You don't want me to play any of your reindeer games.
Yeah.
And here I am away from your shit. I'm in my place with my shit. Ain't nobody in this room going to y'all shit. Mm-hmm. And you come to my shit and try to fuck shit up like this isn't cool. And it was an interesting conversation.
Your reindeer games, but you're the one who's going to end up with the red nose, bitch. Show up to mine. Like, I'm not showing up to your fucking stupid Nazi show that like 12 fucking like translucent motherfuckers with bald heads show up at and thrash each other and like fucking huff fucking turds out of a fucking paper bag. Like, I'm not showing up there to rain on your parade. You're going to show up at mine? Yeah, you're going to get a red nose. You're going to turn to Rudolph.
Like, the kid, to your point about the Jordan Peterson guy, I felt like that kid is the epitome of what you're talking about. Maybe the couple that incident with the black girl in the political science class that calls him out for appropriation or white privilege, and Jordan Peterson and Brett Weinstein and Ben Shapiro and insert a-hole here, they definitely speak your language of it's okay to say certain things.
Yep. Yeah, we're just asking hard questions about race. Like they're what they try to do is they couch it in like what's actually happening is the debate about what the differences are in terms of actual statistical data between ethnicities and race is being silenced. A debate about that is being silenced by the left. And I just don't believe that science should have those kind of boundaries. And really what they're just trying to do is qualify the fucking bigotry that they already hold. Mm-hmm. And that, like literally, like how many racists, like it's really disappointing to see how quickly white people, even like libs are like a fucking hair's breadth away from like they're one ass whooping by a black person from being a racist. You know what I mean? Like a lot of like white racists get their ass beat by like two black dudes when they're a teen or something, and they're like, well, they're animals, Like
I was just calling them the N-word, and they say it in their songs. Why are they fucking with me?
Or it was completely unrelated to race whatsoever. Like you fucking like didn't pay them some shit you were supposed to pay, or like they didn't like the look of you, or they wanted to fucking like take some shit that you had, but it had nothing to do with race, and you got your ass beat and it still had nothing to do with race afterwards. And all of a sudden, you're a fucking skinhead Nazi because like you can't take a single ass whooping and figure out how to get over it. You fucking bitch.
That's it. Yeah, we're talking about race in metal.
Marcus,
yeah.
talking about how if you beat my ass one time, Marcus, I would just have to become a skinhead. That's how white people are. We just don't have the constitution to take an ass whooping without becoming completely bigoted against whoever beat the shit out of
Yeah, well, no, and I think my favorite flavor of skinhead is like who turns against black people after their own dad gives them an ass whooping. You know, like that. That's the one where it's like you need to be bigoted against old dudes, not black people.
Mm-hmm.
Old white dudes. That's who you get a problem with.
You're actually mad at your father, the big daddy thing. Like, it's true, I hate my father.
This is a good one by My Torn Shadow. The opposite works too. I got beat for years by fellow whites for not dropping my black best friend. Pushed me way left.
Damn.
Wow. That's horrible. I have to say, your guys' group of people, saddest stories I've ever heard in my life. Left flank vets, saddest stories ever. I don't have life stories like that. I got funny tour stories and shit, and I got funny life stories. Y'all stories, I was like, I can't handle this. This is heavy.
I wouldn't necessarily say that, Jason, meaning like we have talked extensively, like off air and on the podcast about how like you've worked with people like who are completely destitute in Oakland. I mean, you have a lot of sad stories to tell of those people. Like we happen to have like a lot of like personal stories about how the military deeply fucked us. Yeah, that's true. But that like I am a firm believer, and I think Marcus would agree. I think his internet fired out again. But, there is a tendency, which I caution against all the time, for the military to have a monopoly on trauma, and that is not the case ever. We do not have a monopoly on trauma. We don't have a monopoly on courage. Those are things that people will try. They will try to tell. Actually, maybe you'll remember this, Jason. It's like when Caitlyn Jenner. Like, first of all, Caitlyn Jenner is a piece of shit for a number of reasons. Nothing to do with her being a trans woman, right? Mm-hmm. But when she came out and got the ESPY like Courage Award, the Hero Award, whatever they gave her. Like every veteran I've ever known, every piece of shit I ever served with who like fucking couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag and was absolute fucking coward on my whole deployment to Afghanistan came out of the woodwork on Facebook. It was like, how dare this goddamn woman, this so-called woman say she's a hero when there's heroes who died on my deployment. And I was like, you fucking piece of garbage believing that you have some kind of monopoly on believing like what you get to assign what courage is when you're a coward piece of garbage. Like, fuck off. Absolutely fuck off. And the same goes for trauma. Like, post-traumatic stress disorder is the only thing that you have to have. I literally tell people this too about PTSD. You don't even have to have believed that you don't have to have experienced actual danger. You can have it forced upon you to believe that your life was genuinely in danger, and it could have never actually been. Like, there are a ton of veterans who have like been involved in like air raid, like mortar attack kind of things on their bases, who probably were in like statistically like no danger at all, but like had like a genuine fear that like a mortar round could come blasting through the roof of their domicile at any moment, and they could be killed. There's a small infinitesimal chance of that.
Cold War submarine vets are a good example of this.
Go ahead, Marcus. Well, we still have you.
Oh yeah.
Speak on it.
Yeah. No, I mean, like everything Dick was saying, like, and I was catching it in and out is 100% right. It's like veterans absolutely do not have a monopoly, and like, I mean, hell, like there just needs to be the understanding that like, fuck, if you grew up in America, bad things happen to a lot of people. Yep. Trauma is like built into the fucking system. And I think what we try to do from left flank is create the solidarity. And, you know, this is something that actually, there's another streamer that I was listening to the other, like earlier today, and it's like when we talk about the military-industrial complex, it is tied to so much trauma on this earth, and so much of the impending trauma that is going to happen. It's almost it's a flippant discussion of like crisis if you're not talking about the military industrial complex. But like going back to the trauma thing, like we don't have a monopoly on it. Like it's all just horse shit, like this vet bro fucking bullshit. Because and especially when you talk about respecting the fucking flag and this and whatever, most of the people that were talking shit about Colin Kaepernick is like, motherfucker, I chewed your ass for running from colors. It's like, and we say colors, that's like when they play the not they don't play the anthem, but they'll play certain music. On the Marine Corps bases, I know different branches do different things, and also different bases within the Marine Corps play different music. But like 8 in the morning and like 5 at night, or whenever it's sundown, actually. So like it's like, that's when they play colors, and you're supposed to, if you're outside, you stand to the nearest flag and you salute while colors is playing, and then you go about your business a day. Man, like you would see people hear that music and they are sprinting to get into their house, they're sprinting to get into their rooms. Like, no, I don't want to salute the fucking and it's like 30 seconds. You're not listening to the whole national anthem. Like it's quick, right? Mm-hmm. But like those same pieces of shit that are like, I can't be wasted while I'm literally in uniform to salute the flag. Those same people are saying, no, Colin Kaepernick is just hurting the troops by taking a knee, and it's just. I will say
I was ahead of the curve. I was ahead of the curve here, Marcus. Like, I think I might have, like, my leftist colors might have been showing at that point because I was always running from that shit too, and I never claimed afterwards that I wasn't. Yeah, I was always like, I don't give a shit about the fucking saluting the flag. Like right now, I'm trying to get to fucking dinner.
Y'all ever been to a Mission barbecue?
Oh God, no.
What's a Mission barbecue,
Marcus? Film in.
So it's not a restaurant in San Francisco, in the historic Mission district.
I wish.
No. That wouldn't last long. So Mission Barbecue, it's a barbecue place, and I gotta say the barbecue's pretty good. It ain't bad. But it's all about first responders, military. They got all that type of decor, like wall to wall.
It's the troops, the restaurant.
Yeah, it is.
9/11, the restaurant.
Yeah, it's like the respect or like honor the troops, yellow ribbon, fucked a Blue Lives Matter flag, and then all of that was like pushed together on the little 9/11 memorial for firefighters.
Yep,
that's what Mission Barbecue is. But at noon every day, they play the national anthem, and everybody stands up and like puts their hand over their heart and plays the national anthem in this restaurant every day. Like,
where is this at now?
There's Mission Barbecues, like it's like a chain. It's
a franchise. There was like literally some guys. So like, here's the thing: is like they sort of like by omission. Hi, Phoenix. How are you? Hi, Phoenix. They tried to like the guys who made the restaurant, like by omission, will actually like pseudo, like I'd say by omission, it is implied that you would think that like a troop was the one who started the restaurant. No, it was like some execs from like fucking like Outback Steakhouse or some dumb shit who started the restaurant, who was like, what if we capitalized on troop worship and literally like commodified it and made money off of like selling like fucking, it's like Buffalo Wild Wings, only shittier, but also American flags and national anthem.
Phoenix, can you want to talk? They want to hear you talk. You want to
talk?
Talk to this.
Can you say Phoenix.
Hello? Can you say hello?
Can you say ACAB?
You're not gonna say something?
Say ACAB.
Say
ACAB.
No.
ACAB.
Well, he got the microphone from me the other day. I was like, "You're putting it away," and he grabbed it from me, and then he looked into it, and he was just like, "Mommy, mommy, 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 coming at you, mommy, 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 mommy."
It's like, what? That's what Dad does.
Yeah, that's what Dad does. So I'm just gonna do mommy, 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 mommy. Yeah, say it again. Tell him. Don't lick it.
Yeah, he is like, oh,
Why?
nice.
Why would you do that?
Does it look like an ice cream cone?
He knows.
I just seen that the Texas Supreme Court ruled the Green Party must be reinstated on the ballot. If not the end of this week, then some point next week, I'm going to have, if not Howie and Angela, I'm definitely going to have Angela on the show. Angela Walker.
Marcus, are we going to do a no comment here, or?
And so this is something. I mean, I don't know.
Hey, she's probably watching right now. So say it with your chest.
It's not our story to tell. We have a very close person to our stream, let's say, that has a story to tell here, but that's their story to tell, not ours.
But
Fair
if she is watching, like that's it. I think my critique of the Green Party is that they just I don't think they're consistent enough to make a solid dent, and like I think that I actually live in an area that could have a very viable like green candidate and everything like that. But I've only seen people use that as a stepping stool, and then they end up jumping to the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. So, like in my area, the Green Party is like a way to get your name out there. If you're not a budding establishment Democrat, you can go into the Green Party and then like jump, and like that's kind of like
isn't that how Macron came up? Isn't that how Macron?
Where I'm living.
Is that Macron came up in the Socialist Party in France? Like it was one of those parties that didn't really vet people.
Yeah, I mean, like if you look at fucking Stormer in the Labour Party in the UK, like that, you can probably say similar things of like these people aren't really of the ilk of these parties, and they kind of just like co-opted because it can be, but as soon as dollars and cents start flying around, you see where their loyalties lie.
I was definitely
Gavin Newsom is like a Macron character, in my opinion. He's a very Macronian, or even Trudeau in Canada. Same type of thing, man. Like, hey, you look good in a fucking suit. Not so much in blackface in Trudeau's fucking instance, but that's about it. They can get the white woman in the suburbs.
I feel like, and I definitely want to have this conversation with those guys. I've had Angela on the show before, and as a human being, she's an amazing person. I think she embodies Phoenix. He sees his family because they live next door.
Go get him, Phoenix.
That's your cousin. You want to go see? Well, you can't. He can't go out there. You're gonna get his butt whooped. Uh-oh. Internet Dick over here trying to get my son a whooping.
I'm sorry.
Don't call.
Well, and I hear Rebecca Reel from Facebook saying it's hard/impossible to control who joins a party. And I'd agree with you. You can't control who joins a party, but you can. The party does control who runs, who gets in, who's at the top, who they promote. Those are things that. Well, and that every party does it. Every party is going to have whoever's on the inside is going to have people that they already know.
And then
and like that's
for me personally.
Well, like that's for me.
Go ahead.
No. So, for you, go, please.
For me personally, the issue is more of one of the two-party duopoly isn't going to stop because it's the biggest election of all time. And as a black person, I'm just really tired of somebody telling me it's the biggest election of all time, and I have to vote for Joe Biden. Barack Obama told me that 2012 was the biggest election of all time because Mitt Romney was going to run the country into the ground. And I saw the homeless encampment across the street blow up. No bullshit, tenfold. It went from 4 tiny houses, and we're having the New York Times coming by constantly doing these exposés on the architect, to a city of over 200 people living in tents and RVs and ramshackle makeshift things out of trash cans.
Yeah.
And that happened under Obama's watch. So what was supposed to happen under Mitt Romney's watch that was going to be that much different? And I think there's a lot of people that look at the presidential race as the race, right? And they're just disappointed with the candidates they're getting. That's why you got the ascendance of Sanders and Trump in 2016 and kind of the demolishing of the establishment candidates in both parties. I mean, hell, we were seeing people vote for Gary Johnson and Jill Stein.
Yeah, and it's funny how quickly the libs will jump to, like, how dare you arguments about those people jumping to third parties, despite the fact that neither party offered them much other than, like, Trump being like, burn it down. I'm sure some of them are good people, but, you know. and then like Hillary just literally being like, Pokemon, go to the polls. And yeah, exactly, Phoenix. he knows. See, Phoenix could have come up with a better campaign slogan than like Hillary. He would have run a better campaign than Hillary would have anytime. I'd hire him any day.
Phoenix, huh? Do you want to tell him something?
Yeah, tell me how do you feel about, like, how badly does material condition affect your vote? Does your material condition factor in, or is it more about harm reduction?
This little man is licking the thing.
I'm going to take that as he agrees with Noam Chomsky. It's about harm reduction. I think that's what he's trying to say.
Like I would seriously think, like, my ballot's coming soon in the mail, and I'm seriously thinking, like, I live in California. I can vote for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. And I think besides the suppression tactics that we're seeing from the Trump administration, that seems kind of unprecedented. I can't remember suppression tactics this hardcore, this out in the open.
Mm-hmm. I would say, like, yes. Post, like, Bush was pretty damn good at that with the Supreme Court shit that he tried to pull. Well, he did pull. He successfully pulled.
But he did pull, Florida.
But this is like the groundwork that there's been, the gauntlet that has been laid.
Exactly. Exactly. It's and that's what's kind of. I'm like, should you vote for Biden just so there's more votes for Biden? And the argument that I heard from Sam Cedar was like, well, I'm going to vote for Biden in New York. It's a blue state, because if the Supreme Court decision comes down and there's 10 million votes for Biden, maybe that comes into play in the decision. And I'm like,
I mean, first of all, I love Sam. Don't get me wrong. I think that he's done, like, he's like one of the, like, literally like the vanguard of this movement of, like, leftism. Yeah. But at the same time, like, I do think that he gets it wrong sometimes.
Phoenix said, "Uh-oh."
He agrees. Yeah, see, Sam got it wrong.
Phoenix was with me when I was watching. I was getting pissed off
because like 1 million more votes is not even 1 million votes. Never mind, one vote is not going to matter in the popular vote scheme, because it's not about that. We don't live in a country in which popular vote matters at all.
Exactly. And then bigger than that, I honestly feel, So we did our first thing, and we did it with Q&A with Michael Harris that wrote this book. Oh, excuse me 1 second.
Sure.
Sorry. Phoenix
It's all
dropped.
good.
He dropped Lightning McQueen, and that's some
no.
serious shit here. Yeah, Lightning McQueen fell.
Get it, Phoenix. Uh-oh. I can't hear you anymore, Jason. I think your mic might have messed up. Oh no, I can't hear you again. Oh no. Wait, I hear something. You there,
Hello?
Jason?
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Hey. All
We're
right.
good. We're back. Yes, let's go. We keep losing Marcus. I was like, please don't lose Jason. Don't leave me alone. I can rant for hours, but it won't be nearly as entertaining as having at least one of you.
he knocked out. Now I can't hear the. I'm trying to get my output. Can you hear me? Talk.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it's coming through the wrong thing.
Oh no, Phoenix! What did you do? You know what happened? Like his name is Phoenix Waheen. If you don't know, chat, and he is the Joker. So he just lives to destroy. He's been yanking out cords since early this afternoon and trying to throw a tamper on this stream. He might be actually a secret a mole in our institution, I think, Jason. He might be trying to take down the left. He might be an op, a COINTELPRO type baby, you know? Oh no, I can't hear you. Oh no. Shit. 40 Ounce of Freedom says his answer about harm reduction seems to be a ruse. He had us fooled the whole time.
Okay, now we should be hearing it.
I can hear you.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, for some reason I keep hearing the. It's coming through the computer.
Oh shit.
I can hear you though. You can hear me fine?
I can hear you just fine.
Hello?
I can hear you just fine if you can hear me, Jason.
Okay. So yes, Phoenix Joaquin is his name. It's hyphenated.
Uh-huh.
And it's not because of the actor. It's because my last name is Miles, and I thought Joaquin Miles was a funny name.
Wait, so you never thought about Joaquin Phoenix when you did it?
No. Being totally serious. His mom goes, what are we going to name this kid? And I said, I don't know, like a city or something. And she said, like Phoenix. I was like, there you go. And she goes, Phoenix Miles. That's cool. And
it is a cool name. I like it.
And then people kept saying Joaquin Phoenix. And I was like, oh, his name should be Joaquin because all my other kids have J names.
Uh-huh.
Julian, Jason, Jayla. And I was like, oh, he needs to be Joaquin because it's Joaquin Miles. And so right at that moment, he's coming out and they're like, what is his name going to be? And so she was like, we're going to hyphenate it. So
Phoenix Joaquin Miles.
Phoenix
That's a dope
Joaquin.
name. That's like some superhero shit. That's like legit like.
So
like
he
that.
can hear you now. He can totally hear you now.
I should stop swearing, man. I'm sorry.
We try not to swear, right? Does Daddy try not to swear?
I will try not.
I'm lying because I was watching the Bronco game last night and he learned a few curse words.
He's just walking around, just dropping F-bombs.
Phoenix, did you learn some words yesterday? Can you hear him?
Yeah, it sounds like it. I don't know what he's saying, but it sounds aggressive.
Yeah, he's being mean. But somebody had asked a question, a long one, and I didn't see. Did you see it?
Let me scroll. Can I scroll through the chat? I don't. Oh shit! I don't think I can.
Can you see the question?
I can't. No, it looks like it's all. It won't.
It
let me
said,
scroll.
Will Ramos, thank you guys for your voices. Thank you for doing this. Quick question for you guys. If you haven't addressed this, it seems we are given some sort of garbage, lesser of two evils each year, and it's a damned if we do or don't. Personally, I want change, and we need it, but Biden still doesn't look great. What's the thought? I sure won't give Trump a vote. And that's from Will Ramos.
Yeah, so I think that like me and my left flank compadres would tell you, we've talked about this extensively on stream with each other because we all didn't know how to feel about it.
Yeah, I should have put a link to our shows.
But no, I mean I'm happy to cover it till the sun burns out. But I would say here's what we arrived at is if you're in a swing state, you need to vote for Biden. The Noam Chomsky harm reduction argument stands. It's true. It's a horrible hell world that we live in, and that's the reality. If you don't live in a swing state, then that's a personal choice. I would encourage you not to vote for Biden. I live in Virginia. It's not a swing state. I will be voting. I'll be running in Bernie. That's what will be happening for me. I'll be voting for as many like down ballot candidates, progressive candidates as I can, and measures, propositions, whatever the fuck is on there. I'll be voting for all those things, and I'll be writing in Bernie because it won't really matter here because Biden will win my state, even though Virginia's on the verge of becoming purple, maybe. But who knows? But like My Torn Shadow just said in the chat, she lives in Florida. I would say that you need to vote for Biden. You need to. That'd be my advice. It's your choice. Like you don't have to listen to me. I'm not a fucking expert or anything, but that's the conclusion that I've drawn and my compadres have drawn. And it's not going to be like you said. Sam Cedar made the argument before, Jason, that like, well, I want there to be a mandate that comes from the overwhelming popular vote, or at least like excess vote for Biden over Trump, even if he tries to call into question the electoral count. But honestly, I don't think that's going to fucking matter no matter what. 1 million votes, 1 vote, either way won't matter because he shat on the idea that he lost the popular vote for an election that he won in 2016. So how the hell do you think that he's going to do the opposite now? It's not going to happen.
Sorry, I'm trying to fix my audio while I'm getting yelled at by a 2-year-old.
Phoenix adds flavor to the show. It's okay.
Yeah, I didn't do it. Whatever you're mad about, I didn't do it.
It was Biden.
This is how it is. I'm writing these like in-depth, like deep thought pieces, and then he runs up to me and he's like, "Daddy, daddy, 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 daddy." I'm like, "Yes, hi." Like he does that.
Hey, I mean, that's the reality that a lot of Americans are.
Oh man, I'm a lot more calmer in my 40s than I was in my 20s when I had kids the first time.
Well, you're a trooper, man. Like, regardless, like I am barely sane, and I don't have any kids to take care. I can barely take care of myself. So more power to you. Like, kudos, Marcus.
Yo.
Hey, what up?
Did it just freeze again, or?
No, I can see you and hear you. I can't hear
crap.
Jason. I can't hear Phoenix. Maybe he muted because of Phoenix. I'm not sure.
I hate internet. So I want to just talk about why the internet should be a government utility.
Do that
and why we really need to strengthen. And just honestly thinking about it, like United States Postal Service. It's just a requirement, and it doesn't make any sense to me. There's obvious economic benefit to everybody being able to utilize it, but there's only one industry, or a small subgroup of industry that's able to monopolize off of it. And the thing that's frustrating as well is that our tax dollars, like the proverbial we, right? Like I wasn't necessarily born or even like a taxpayer, although the goods and services that were provided to take care of myself were paid with, like the tax. But that the internet was that was the American people that funded that shit. So when like you have shitty fucking internet service, it's 2 or 3 layers of bullshit that are getting like you're just getting fucked with. All right. Okay, we can talk about whatever now.
So can you hear me now?
Yeah.
for some reason, my device that I have is just acting ridiculous. So I have to go through the computer audio, which I hate, because then you can hear all the sounds behind me. So you can hear the cooking and the dog and the neighbors.
I mean, we're yeah. I'm just happy that I've been able to have one back and forth without either going into robot mode or just dropping. And like I'll tell like this the site that we're using right now, like it's been saying I got all the green bars the whole time.
Hey.
Except I just vanish. But so how's the conversation been though? Good. I guess Dick disappeared now. But
That he did. I think he had an internet problem as well. Let me get him off the thing. So now I fixed everything. Man, there's been comments. Oh, someone said, thank you for your service. Want to become famous, buy followers, primes, views on. Is that a bot?
Yeah.
Or is that a person effing with us? Either way, it's hilarious.
They found us. It's a bounty. They're trying to spam us.
That's the Russian bot coming to get their bounty.
I didn't want to stay on the presidential thing too long on the whole, because again, I wanted to have actually, I've had Gloria LaRiva on the show. I've had Howie on the show. I've had Angela on the show. People that are running as third party candidates for parties that I think are great organization parties for the left. I just don't see the Democratic Party as being a really good party for the left to organize. The real left, not libs, right?
Yeah.
So the Democratic Party is a party of a certain donor class, and there's people that think they're in it because they voted. And I mean, I understand why somebody wants to vote for Joe Biden if you're afraid of Donald Trump. I totally get that.
Yeah.
I also would remind people that there was 8 years of Reagan, 8 years of Bush Jr., 4 years of his dad, 8 years of Clinton, 8 years of Obama. How many years of Nixon did we have? 6?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And we're still contending with his toady Roger Stone. The guy who literally has a Nixon tattoo on his back. And
well, didn't Hillary work? Wasn't she somehow affiliated with that campaign?
With Nixon and Roger Stone?
I believe so, wasn't she? I know she was a Goldwater girl.
Yeah, I knew that. I didn't know. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure of any connection with Hillary or the campaign, but I mean,
I couldn't speak to that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Like a lot of when it comes to the political operative or class. And when I say operative, I'm not talking about like spies and shit like that. I'm just talking about people who work within the party structure, whether it be within the parties, within the donor class, or within the media that boosts it. That's what I talk about. But either way, these people, a lot of the people, they're willing to jump ship. They're willing to will work with anybody. They're looking for a path ahead, and that's how they just look about it. That's how they feel about it. So I wouldn't be surprised if she was, but I haven't heard that.
Yeah, and I would add too that like periods of extremes make for some strange bedfellows, right? And the obvious thing you would throw up would be the fucking Lincoln Project chuds, right? These things the libs latch onto where they're like, oh well, Trump is a unique threat. And that means that we have to align ourselves Aaron Sorkin style with people that we wouldn't normally. I'm not going to make the argument that Trump isn't unique. Of course he is. But what you're also doing is allowing the space for literal former Republicans, registered Republicans, to run on the Democratic
warmongers
ticket. What's that guy's name? I can't remember which district he's running in, Marcus. You would know better than I would, but Jake Alschenslouch or whatever the fucking like fash ass SS name he has.
I think that might have been a dude out in Oregon,
I want to
or
say
maybe Michigan's.
maybe
He's
someone in the
he's
chat.
running for Congress. He's running for the House.
Yeah, he was running in a primary, and I believe he just won his primary. I can't remember which
Yeah,
state.
yeah. But he's like a no shit like Nazi.
Well, no,
I know who you're talking about now. I know who
he's
you're
a-
talking about now.
he
Does
is
anyone in the chat know exactly the dude's name?
I should Google it. I got my other monitor here. I should do that while I'm here.
You talking about
Like-
the wheelchair guy?
So I'm not. No, that's a different guy. That's a different guy. That's the guy who stood up at the RNC.
Have you seen the ad that they had with him in there?
No.
Yes.
He wheels onto a football field. And
Yes.
And what fucking catches a touchdown like Rudy? What the fuck does he do?
They try to pretend
I'll
he's
say
a
this.
troop too. He tried to say I got accepted to West Point or some shit.
Yeah.
They try to act like he got the wheelchair when he was in Afghanistan, but that did not happen. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
No. Austin Close is he won the Democratic primary for Massachusetts' 4th congressional district. So he won by just over 2,000 votes against candidate Jesse Mermel in a crowded Democratic primary, and will now face Republican Julie Hall, an Air Force. Jake is a troop himself.
Isn't Amy McGrath the Air Force vet?
She's a Marine Corps pilot.
Is she a Marine Corps pilot?
Marine Corps helicopter pilot.
Aren't I supposed to vote for her because of that?
That's what they're hoping. And like she plays all in and like
She said that shit.
whoo, back when
She's
I
a
was
Trump Democrat, right?
Oh my fucking
Trump Democrat through and through.
What the fuck does that mean?
So I have an answer to this from her campaign. I got texted by her campaign yesterday.
Dope. I want to hear it.
Where's my fucking phone? Let me pull it out. I'll read it for you.
You get the
verbatim.
WWE.
Well, while you're looking for it, so I want to touch back the Jake Atchenclose. That's the seat that Kennedy gave up,
Yes,
and it was an incredibly crowded primary. And so this is something that's been talked about a few different times in a few different races with earlier primaries. I know specifically, I think The Intercept had an article about it within the New York 12, but that was the one with Isaiah James. And
I was really pulling for that brother too, man.
and like that seems like we actually reached out to him yesterday and hoping to hear back from him just so like we can start keeping the ball going. But yeah, that was another primary where they just basically talked about like leftists, and I'm not talking about neo-libs. Leftists need to kind of agree to disagree, or in some ways, but just say like, hey, if we're actually going to win this primary, we might need to start a coalition, figure out a way that by certain dates people drop and then say, hey, all of my stands, we're now with them, because if we go with them, we're going to get a better person, and I wish it was me, you wish it was me. But, and like, that's what type of thing. And like, we do, as the left, we love infighting. So a lot of people look at that idea like it just can't happen. But that's where, like, something the For the People's Party was just talking about, oh, dang, look at you.
Oh, he's fresh to death. Look at him.
Fresh. Yeah. He's like, oh, yeah. Was talking about ranked choice voting, and I think Brianna Joy Gray also was talking about it. So if you look at Maine, they have ranked choice voting federally, but it's like pretty wonky. So it's like statewide races has it, primaries don't, but either way, it takes away the spoiler effect. You have to get above 50% in order to win the race or win the election. And so let's say there was a Bernie Sanders, a Joe Biden, and a Donald Trump, all three running. If all three of them are running, no one's going to get 50% of the vote, right? but whoever has the least amount of the votes, they go away for the second round. And then so the people who I chose, Joe Biden first. Obviously, if you're choosing Joe Biden, well, I said obviously it's not obvious that there are people who would say I will choose Joe Biden first, and then I will go Donald Trump second. Mike Bloomberg would fall into that category. The Starbucks piece of shit billionaire would fall in that category.
Howard Schultz.
But for people who are not fascists or fascist adjacent, if you're the moderate, you would say Joe Biden is my first choice, and then Bernie Sanders is my second, and you don't have any fear of the spoiler effect with ranked choice voting. Yes. But with crowded primaries, if there are leftists that recognize, like, hey, you basically need to internalize ranked choice voting amongst yourselves. I mean, most of the fairest way, it's not like polling and stuff, right? I say, hey, if you like the amount of volunteers that you have, on your roster, that's like a better way, I think, for showing support. But it's tough because there's a whole lot of ego and pride in running a race and time spent, away from your family, just knocking doors and all this stuff like that. But if you're really for the cause, that's something that, in crowded primaries that people got to think about.
Say night night, Phoenix.
You want to eat? You hungry?
No, that's his way. That's his way to stay up later. If he eats. And by the way, this is his plate. I just want you to see his plate.
That's what's up.
And his spoon is a little needle.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's so.
I love
it.
I didn't want to. Unfortunately, we had all these topics that for the people that are watching the stream, we actually had topics. We had a show we wanted to do. We had all these audio issues that fucked us up. But
we got time.
Okay, because I didn't want to get too much into the whole voting aspect of it, because I definitely had went down my own personal rabbit hole when we were talking about police violence and then what was going on in the ICE camps. But if you want to stay on this,
yeah.
Do you guys want us to stay on this, talking about voting for a while?
Well, what are the other things that we got on the agenda? Throw them out so they get the option.
Okay. Well, I definitely want to talk about police violence, protests, and some of the reactionary violence that we're seeing, which is like the two sheriffs getting shot in LA.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely wanted to talk about, and I think I sent you guys the article about how philanthropy controls discourse. Can you hear Phoenix crying?
I can. Poor
guy. By the way, I just want y'all to know, whoever's paying attention, that little boy is mad as fuck right now.
He wants to stay up and stream with Daddy.
Yeah, he wants to stay up. His mama was like, I'm not fucking with you right now. So if you hear him screaming, nobody's beating him. He's just mad because he can't be here. I hope he's a new lefty. I hope he's not Pete Buttigieg.
Well, you being as extreme as you are, and extreme as like Pete's dad was, he's bound to be a lib now.
My mom is a socialist. If my mom is watching this, Pam. My mom's a socialist, and she's a labor organizer. She gets flown all over to help organize. She wasn't always that way, but she definitely is now and has been for a minute. She's kind of a badass lady. So,
solidarity.
We hope that I hope that he doesn't fall too far from the tree, but we'll see. We all live in this system. It definitely Kamala Harris's parents. Barack Obama's parents, right?
Right. Yeah, like that's the thing that's crazy. Is like you take Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, Pete Buttigieg, like their parents, all of them were like speaking motherfucking truth.
Imagine rebelling against your parents by turning into a fucking Hogwarts.
I can't imagine. Yeah.
Oh, I did that to my. I shouldn't say I did that. I wanted my daughter to be so overexposed to musician life that when she was that age, she would go to shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like I plop her if I knew the band, I'd plop her ass on stage, like here you go.
Yep.
Everybody's coming to the house. And all my rapper friends, rocker friends, you are not dating anybody in a band. This is going to be so like played out to you that dad does this shit.
Yeah.
Like if my dad does
That's
it, it's
good.
not cool.
Yeah, word. That is well played.
And
That's
she's
well played.
she's with a wonderful young man that has no musical aspirations. I love it.
Yeah. It's like I like playing chess in the silence.
I love a nice crisp pair of Dickies.
Like don't like my daughter's dude he's not like the total opposite of me. Me and him are from the same area, but like
everything else is opposite.
Oh, he's like the most respectful young man. They live together, and he's like he goes on his own to go hang out with Phoenix and my mom, and he'll go take Phoenix to get like.
All right,
food.
you know, like I need my internet to fuck up again right now.
You're good. It's working well.
Like that's the strategy right now. That's the strategy with the girl. I can't. My boys, I can't speak for them motherfuckers.
I do think that I would love to talk about. I know we've done some shit posting on this particular topic, Marcus, but about how the LA sheriff's deputies are now starting to weaponize the fact that two of their deputies got shot up the other day as a radicalizing issue to kind of like centralize some support for themselves. I mean, I'd love to dive into that if you guys are down.
That's okay. So I wrote something. I probably should put a link to it up on here. I finally finished it, and the main theme was like vengeance and revenge, and what does justice looks like, mm-hmm. And that's a question I constantly ask myself. I've definitely been blessed enough to do this thing that we do, and you get people on that you talk to that have written books about restorative and transformative justice and alternatives to being so overly punitive. And when I saw and I read the LA Times piece about the dude that shot the sheriffs, and then you see the response, and the response is bipartisan, and it's always quick, right? It's always, we're going to get this evildoer, and we can't do this, and law enforcement this, and my brother's a cop that, and blah, 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 blah. Dangerous job. And I tried to write it, I was telling you guys about it before, and not say certain words that become buzzwords in our community. Mm-hmm. And I didn't say proletariat. I didn't say law enforcement. I kept it kind of with the state because that's state violence. And I think I hope that that's a unifying cry for a lot of people to understand that this is violence perpetuated on us by the state. And go ahead. No, go ahead. You about to get the screen, brother. Bam.
Yeah, no, there's two things, because like when you say state violence, and I think that the reason why I do it is to connect, all of the things, all of the state violence and what it encompasses, because I wouldn't even say it starts right, like between policing on the streets. So that's one of the big ones, but that literally extends to all of the hundreds of military bases that we have on the streets. It ties to the ICE camps where women are getting their uterus cut out.
Mm-hmm.
All of that is state violence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hell, the fact that our government was not only incapable, I will say unwilling to handle this COVID crisis, and it's not just Trump. We can't just put this on Trump. I could go into why Nancy Pelosi didn't make good moves at all in the rollout of all these bills, but that in itself is state violence, right? Like the lack of ability or willingness to just do your damn jobs. The consequences of that it's violent because people are getting thrown out of their houses. People aren't able to feed their children. You read stories about just today a lady that she gets thrown in prison because she frauded she lied on something to say, oh, I live here, just in order to get health care for her fucking family, and now she's going to prison. That is an enormous amount of state violence. So
it's the epitome of state violence.
Yeah, I mean, to bring it back to the LA's sheriff's department, and even just how you address it, that's maybe we need to talk about all of those things as state violence, in order to kind of keep that connectivity, because it is all safe. It loses a little bit of power if you don't connect all these things.
That was kind of my point. My point was to use that as an example of how when violence is perpetuated against the state, and we don't know why, right? We don't know if this guy is on some sort of jihadist mission to
right. Yeah.
That's what's going to get spun. But bigger than that, in the grand scheme of things, it's not every citizen, and every interaction that these cats have with citizens, they're gonna try to spin it where, well, I didn't know. And someone in the Times piece wrote, I hope this isn't one of those things where now when they see us walk towards a car because we may have a question or we may need help or whatever the situation is, these fools pull out the gun and go, well, I didn't know because of blah, blah, blah that happened over there.
Yeah.
And to your point on state violence being something that's a lot larger, I mean, I definitely was trying to hit on things like that. Like, when I asked the question, what does justice look like? All I see around me is injustice. I see a growing homeless population, and not just from the statistics that I'm reading, motherfucker, I literally see it. I got cats living in the middle of the street. Not the side gone. They're in the middle of the street. People dump so much trash on the street. And I think I told you guys this, and I'll keep saying if I have to. I've had to move multiple washing machines and refrigerators so I can just get out of where I stay. I can't go get food because there's no stores around. There's no restaurants. They all take off. I see people that live in their car that go to work every day. Mm-hmm. At the homeless camp, or not the camp, but the emergency shelter that I was at that I just left, I saw people go to work on a daily basis and still be homeless. And this is the reality for so many. And then we're in the middle of a pandemic where the federal response isn't even check it. We got y'all right now. Testing is free. And whatever follow-up medicine you need is free. So if you get COVID and you're broke, it's a wrap for you. We already have an article about the young man that was 17. The hospital says, sorry, you don't have no insurance. You got to go. And he died trying to walk to the clinic. Mm-hmm. That is what injustice looks like and feels like. And then to me, we extrapolate it when we bring up Marcus's point when it's like, but we're giving these women hysterectomies just to be giving them hysterectomies on some fucking Nazi bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, that's I know Jacob been leaving you out, but I can't tell you how just disgusted I am. Especially when I first read it, and that's the thing is it matters that those people that are doing this shit, they are paid through our fucking taxes.
Our
These
tax
motherfuckers
dollars
are employees of the fucking our state, not just the state. This is our shit, and fucking hell, I can't. It's hard to even put it into words.
It makes you feel complicit, whether you agree with that philosophically or not. Oh fuck, we lost.
That was me. No, that was me. I fucked him up. I'm sorry. Oh. We filled our black people quota. There's too many on the screen. My bad.
No, I mean, I was saying that like Marcus is right. Like me and him were talking about this earlier today about how it's. I'm at a point now where like we get a new headline like this every day, so it's hard not to be. It's you're both shocked and horrified, but you're not surprised, and
Mm-hmm.
it's deeply like depressing, disappointing. I don't even know what the words are to describe it, but it is at a point where it's so egregious that you feel complicit for not participating in some act of vengeance. You know what I mean, or like retribution that would hopefully inspire others to action or prevention of these horrible deeds, right? And that could be something as simple as what we're doing right now, speaking out as to as many people who will fucking listen to us about it, or doing more extreme like things like activism, organizing, and direct action, right? Um, but what I would say about this particular act in Los Angeles, about the person who come up and just fucking prayed and sprayed on two sheriff's deputies sitting in their car, is that it's important to put that violence into context, right? Like the cops always do that, so why the fuck can't we right now?
Mm-hmm.
They will constantly try to give you a false context for the violence that they perpetrate, which is, did you know Jacob Blake had a knife somewhere in his car? Like a fucking butter knife that he forgot about under the seat 12 years ago or some dumb shit like that, before we ventilated him in the back 12 times for no fucking reason. The cops will contextualize their violence all the time. So let's contextualize the violence that was done against the police. The Los Angeles Sheriff's Department is run by a police gang called the Executioners.
The Executioners.
The Executioners, and the other one that is almost, it rivals it in size and popularity, is my understanding, is called the Banditos. And both of those gangs have specific hazing rituals and eligibility requirements to be a part of them. And the Executioners, as the name would imply, requires you to have killed someone in the line of duty in order to be a member of that gang. And there is a lot of evidence from a whistleblower within the department
Yeah.
who had a dead rat tossed onto his doorstep the other day after the story came out, that is exactly what happened to the young man who was shot in the back by a LA sheriff's deputy who was working his
Security guard.
his job. He was working his job as a security guard. The LA Sheriff's Department showed up because they heard about a break-in. He got scared. He ran away. A police officer shot him in the back. The next day, the LA Sheriff's Department came back and removed the DVR and smashed all of the cameras that would have provided any evidence to demonstrate what had actually happened and why that night. And the whistleblower said that deputy who actually pulled the trigger and shot that kid in the back was chasing ink. He was trying to be able to get into the Executioners. And he was literally incentivized to doing so. It's not just a status thing. The Executioners, when I say the Executioners run that department, there is plenty of evidence that's to suggest that members of the Executioners are in the Internal Affairs Department, so that if you are a member of this police gang, you will get protection for anything that you do. And not only that, but they literally will just tell you like what days off you can have, and here's priority like overtime assignments. So your material conditions will actually incentivize you to become a part of this police gang by killing someone, for status and for literal material benefits. So that's the context I would put in. Like when there are literal gang members within the police department executing people to become a part of a gang called the Executioners, what you are going to do is you're going to put your fellow officers in danger because you make reprisals inevitable.
Oh shit.
Children for no fucking reason. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, and I think with that, like, within that context, that I think you did a great job of laying all that out. I have some questions, right? How do we know that those cops didn't threaten the lives of the life of the man that shot at him? How do we know that there wasn't a bounty on that dude's head, and he was defending his own life, knowing that these cops will be able to murder him and get away with it? So now, hey, how do we know those cops didn't say, hey, we're just going to go eat our sandwiches in our car, then we're going to come back and murder you, and we're going to get away with it?
Yep.
And growing up in that situation, that's something that you could do. Like now we live in a state where we get to ask those questions, and those are all viable questions. Because like you said, there is direct fucking evidence from someone that worked within the department that all of this is going down. And like, that's the thing too, is like I know, it was like People LA, I think is like one of the groups, but like Ground Game LA is another
Ground
one.
Game LA,
and
yeah.
They're like, show your tats. Show your fucking tats, you fucking pieces of shit. And then you'll see it all spelled out. And I know Dick, I don't know if you've seen shit before in like your time from service or dudes getting like, but I mean, yeah, there's more a handful, and like, I'd say it's mostly in like, the special forces, sniper units and shit like that. But when you see dudes with tally marks and shit like that, like, that just ain't it, you know what I'm saying? At that
Or
point,
just,
you're
like,
like, you're incentivizing this shit.
Of like, I'm sure you've heard this one before, Marcus, but like, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
Yep.
The idea that
which is such, I get that to a certain degree, but when we were talking, I don't remember if it was off air or not. We were talking about PTSD.
I mean, like, I don't want to be a dick, but like, pretty much what that is, that mentality means is that there is nothing that I won't do to live.
Yeah.
And Nazis said that shit.
But that's the same mentality I had growing up in Richmond, California. Like, I gotta live.
Yes, but you were doing it to literally survive. You didn't have a choice in that, right? Like these guys, we have an all-volunteer military. You can choose to be a cop. You can choose to be in the military. You choose to take on that risk. And what you're saying is, I actually don't want that risk. My life is more valuable than literally anyone else's. And anytime I feel threatened, I will pull the trigger in order to preserve it, which is pure fucking cowardice. You didn't have a choice in that, Jason.
But we give those cats that pass to have that. And I know we're all against that pass, but I feel like we give those cats that pass to have that mentality. And what's going to happen now is our conversation, that's a much larger conversation about what really state violence looks like. And it looks like poverty rates growing. It looks like 30 million unemployed. That's what it really looks like, right? It's going to get turned into the images of smoke and burning buildings. You can't go to your favorite Walmart because the looters took everything out of it and it's boarded up.
Yep.
And once the narrative gets flipped of police corruption, it's a small amount. Don't worry. And we're going to double down on it with imagery. And one thing the Democratic Party is great at is the imagery and paying fealty to certain verbiage. So Black Lives Matter in 2012 was like, only crazy motherfuckers said that, right? You was a real out there cat if you was about Black Lives Matter. Now,
thugs.
Say again?
Obama called them thugs.
Obama called them thugs, right?
He literally said thugs.
I watched Monday Night fucking football, and in the end zone at Giant Stadium, it said in racial, what was it? Basically, in racism. I think it said end racism.
It does, because that's the thing. It doesn't matter because like those motherfuckers are paying the DOD, millions of fucking dollars to go.
And that's the thing. But now we're gonna make outrage. We're gonna co-opt outrage, and we're gonna commodify outrage. And again, this is why I think LeBron is the athlete of the new millennium, and we're not up on the 3-dimensional chess that his people are playing. He's got a movie coming out, and he was part of the production team. He didn't write the script and all that.
Is it Space Jam reboot?
Oh shit! I forgot about that.
Space Jam reboot is coming. I actually saw the stills for that. real talk, real talk, real fucking talk. And I'm not trying to be funny at all. He's making a movie. The trailer's out about the dude that got in and got Fred Hampton killed.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the Jesse Plemons movie.
Ooh.
The fucking
Yes.
the COINTELPRO.
Yes.
Yeah, with what's his name? Daniel. Fuck.
The
dude
from Get Out. Yeah, the British
So
cat.
good.
Yeah.
Yes. He's
So
amazing.
so it's called something in the Messiah, Judas and the Messiah, I think. And if you know the whole COINTELPRO story, it is that they were afraid of a black Messiah, and Hampton was that person in their minds. So this kid infiltrated but not hard at that time, to infiltrate the Panther Party, and Hampton gets shot up by the police or feds, whatever you want to say,
While he's asleep.
asleep with his pregnant girl.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been a little bit of talk on the far left. I hate saying the far left. People that are a little more radical than others that are like, they're afraid that movie might try to portray that image of the Messiah character.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's really what Hampton was trying to be.
No, like yeah, no, and I feel like that. It's something that I'm against. I feel like it's something that like a lot of, especially on the left, when you're talking about especially like Marx as well, is like the focus on individuals
Mm-hmm.
is inherently anti-left, in my view. Oh, what's up, man?
What's the here he comes.
But and so that's when so focusing on him, and like I don't think Fred Hampton wouldn't want a movie about him. He'd want a movie on how to educate people on how to make their lives secure and collective and safe. You know what I'm saying? He would want to make a movie that shows people that socialism is the path to towards collective freedom, and capitalism is only only gonna bring you fucking pain and suffering, right? And do I think a movie? I think Disney is making it.
I don't know who is Disney involved.
No, it's Warner Bros. I'm pretty sure.
I know LeBron's got his name involved.
Yeah, but do I think that
Yeah.
a movie made for any of these fucking big studios is gonna have a message that Fred Hampton would co-sign on? Man, get the fuck out of here! I was born during the day, but
now to that point, I have this on. If you guys watched the last stream, Dr. Michael Harris wrote this book, Welcome to the Rebellion, basically using the Star Wars as a narrative for the left. And he has these like quotes from Lucas when he was writing the book or writing the script, that the rebels were supposed to be the Viet Cong, and the Empire was supposed to be the United States.
Yeah.
And there's shit in the movies, the prequels that Lucas did, that I didn't get. Are you guys Star Wars fans at all? Is anybody listening a Star Wars fan? Yay or nay? Start writing. You guys Star Wars fans? Okay. In the prequels,
I've watched the movies.
Okay, you one of those. Okay, you're bad enough. Ohio State. Okay.
So
like that's
about, Jason, the fucking
my
nerd.
brother is like a no shit Star Wars. Like he might have a Star Wars tattoo somewhere on his body.
I didn't peep. Check it. I didn't peep this. The bad guy, the Trade Federation guy in the prequels, Newt Gunray, is Newt Gingrich and Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
I didn't peep that.
But they're also horrible Asian stereotypes too. They literally go, "Oh no, Jedi come and kill me! Oh no!" It's like they're literally like doing some horrible like Looney
Look,
Tunes.
you saw that. I didn't see nobody that was Asian. I got these half Asian kids, and then none of them sound like my in-laws. So that was you seeing that.
That's
All
not
I'm-
me. Smarter people than me have pointed that out.
Hey, then they was out there seeing that. I didn't see that.
And
but-
the Gungans are horrible Jamaican stereotypes.
I didn't see that either. They wasn't eating no jerk chicken.
Oh no! Oh no! The Trade Federation come and kill us big time. It's bad. Yeah, it's
Y'all act like Lucas was up in there like, can you sound a little more niggery?
I think he was.
No, the Caribbean kind, not the South Central kind.
Well, also Lucas was notorious for being a horrible, horrible director, so he would have been like, "Oh, maybe like I was thinking more of a Bob Marley vibe." I don't know, like
Yeah,
You know,
have fun with it.
That guy that played Jar Jar Binks, there's a very sad story he has where he was trying to kill himself in New York, about to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge.
Good.
dead.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I hope he's okay. I hope you're okay. You know what I'm saying?
People.
Like,
Anyway,
I hope you
what I was going to say was, if you watch the prequels, which are kind of hard to watch, Lucas wanted us to get a story of how a nation becomes fascist.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with trade agreements and taxes and tax avoidance. And those first three movies kind of paint this picture. And, you know, me and the writer, we got into this kind of galaxy brain, funny conversation. We were being half-assed serious. And this is off air. And I was like, you know, I kind of feel like if there is an emperor, if you will, it's like Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, because those are the ones that stay the course, and they have these different Darths: Sidious, Tyrannus, Grievous, Vader, but they're always the ones in power pulling the strings. And jokingly, I was like, what if Biden is the emperor all along and Trump is like Grievous and we're all trying to fight? Like, that's the whole thing about Revenge of the Sith. They're like, we got to get Grievous. Once we get him, then we'll win the thing. And then all along, you know, this guy is pulling the strings. And as the country's attention is so focused on the presidential race, and it's important, what would the country look like? And I've been asking this question, and I ask it to everyone listening, and I definitely ask it to you two right here. What would the country look like if we had another Trump term, but Mitch McConnell's gone and Nancy Pelosi's gone?
Marcus, do you want to kick this one off?
Oh wow. I don't know. So that's a possible.
Right? Because we've been so busy on the same conversation, which is Trump. So
you're saying Trump gets second term.
Trump gets second term.
Nancy's gone.
Mm-hmm. McConnell.
And McConnell's gone. So
Power.
Well, I guess I would ask who controls House and Senate?
Barbara Lee. Barbara Lee controls the
House.
Controls the House. Is it still? It would still be Democrat or Republican Senate.
Well, the Democrats have a chance to take the Senate, and like it's pretty.
Chuck Schumer.
Chance. So Schumer's still in.
Yeah.
Ah, fuck. If Barbara Lee is the, I think if Barbara Lee is the speaker, then you actually see accountability, right? So you're going to see all this bullshit that Nancy Pelosi talked about like having oversight and stuff like that. I would actually have faith that Barbara Lee would do so. You know,
I mean, I'd qualify that with you would see attempts. At least you would see attempts at challenges of power. I'm not sure if she was successful, but at least she would definitely far better attempt to use the powers of her office to give the executive branch some accountability.
Yeah, and this is the thing that is frustrating the most is that Nancy Pelosi has an incredible amount of power. Congress has an incredible amount of oversight. Congress is the focus of our government. And like, yes, there's checks and balances. Yes, there's like co-equal branches. But when the Constitution was written and everything was designed, Congress actually had way more fucking powers than either of the two. And also the framework didn't anticipate people would want to be interested in party over within their structure. So they figured judges would want to be more judges than would be Republican or Democrat in the sense, even though they weren't Republican or Democrats. They figured senators more about being senators than they would care about being Republican or Democrat, which is obviously not true. And then obviously too, in the case of and so now the party is now above all, and then all of the branches fall within that structure. So those are some things that's like that. So yes, but at any point in time, Congress, they are the ones that make the fucking rules, right? And like, yes, for laws, does the president have to sign on it? Obviously, that's true. However, there is veto power, and really at the end of the day, like Congress does still have the fucking power, and they could take it back if all of them said we actually think Trump is bad. They could override anything that he is not willing to sign, but they're passing to curtail his power. But they don't give a fuck. And like for Nancy Pelosi, in her instance, starting an impeachment inquiry, which is something that she literally just has to tell the members, we are doing this now. And she showed it, right? The whole time that she said, no, we're not doing impeachment, not doing impeachment. And then once she decided that if you attack Joe Biden's family, that's cause for impeachment, boom, you see the switch. You see members falling in line. And then you see also the media establishment saying, this is now impeachable, and then now impeachment is now popular. So Nancy Pelosi holds a lot of power, and she's choosing not to wield it.
Mm-hmm.
Or does she wield it? Oh, sorry, I'm fucking you up, man. I'm not trying to do that on purpose. Or,
no. I was just trying to tie it back, but yeah, if Barbara Lee is in the game, there is power just off of I am the House leader and I'm telling you this is how we're doing some shit.
I think also too, we got to remember that all these bills that can't come up because Nancy Pelosi's like, nah. Like Ilhan Omar wants to cancel the rent and mortgages. Nah. Who's on the head of all these committees? Right now, the squad, who everybody loves, they got to play the game if they want to actually have any sort of weight. And you got to get, if you want to see real action, we got to get the real power player out. So putting Joe Biden in is not going to make the moves that we want to see made, because who's going to push him? You might get AOC give some nice speeches. She's great. She's a great orator. But really, what's going to happen? How is he going to get moved, especially if there is no organized left? There is no Marxist, socialist, transsexual, non-binary left movement that's going to really do anything. What happens is there's outrage because of outrageous acts. And as long as all we are is reactionary to outrageous acts, then nothing's really going to move. That needle's not going to move.
I am putting a lot of. I'm putting stock in for the People's Party. That's what I'm putting stock in right now. But that's very much a future thing. We got to realize we are where we are, and that scenario that you just put out that just broke everybody's brain. I don't think that's going to happen, right? But I think, Dick, we might have been talking on the phone this morning when we were talking about Barbara Lee, and if she was Speaker of the House, how different a world would we be in? And I think that's something that we can look at right now. That as a left, that's something that I'd say, oh, that's something that's good to push for, because Nancy's getting old, and people got to see the writing on the, are going to start seeing more and more the writing on the wall. The more politicians like AOC that come in, right? Because like that thing is like AOC is probably never going to protest in
Oh, you broke up. Damn.
freshman term.
Nope.
Damn, he got that Cricket wireless. Fucking
Am I
with
out?
you got fucking with Cricket
Oh,
wireless.
damn it. Am I out?
We can hear you
Damn.
now.
You said AOC and then Cricket
Oh,
wireless
my bad,
said
man.
You just
prepaid.
pixelate now.
Oh yeah, sorry. No, yeah. So is AOC gonna I feel like I'm gone again.
Nah, you
Let it
hear,
go.
you hear, bro. You hear. You good. Oh, damn.
Shit, he was doing so good.
There's been some people saying some deep shit, man. Somebody said that they had suffered from some homelessness. Brother, I see you. I feel you. That's some rough shit. I work in that world. I recently quit my job at a nonprofit and filed a very long complaint and about to do some pieces in some big publications about what really goes on in these Operation Room Key shelters, emergency shelters that Gavin Newsom pays so much money for. Oh, sorry about that. I'm sorry, sister. I'm sorry. I ain't trying to talk shit to nobody. But yeah, it's something that's very near and dear to my heart because not only do I work in it, I did live in a car for a while. That was more due to wanting to be a musician and, you know, why pay rent when I'm gone 6 to 9 months out of the year. But it's a problem and we're not addressing it right because we're not looking at the real causes of it.
We never have. Now it's just more acute. More people are experiencing it now than ever, but that doesn't diminish anyone's experience who's like, it's so funny how we try to like fucking do a like BC and AD in terms of our policy when it comes to corona and like homelessness and unemployment is be like, well, everyone who didn't have a job or didn't have a house before corona is a fucking deadbeat piece of shit. Fuck them. I hope they die. But afterwards, you're like one of the legit people that we fucking give you the goddamn that we literally swear off on. It's fucking stupid.
Like we have a vet at the shelter. I still say we like I'm there. I mean, I'm still attached to a lot of the people there. And he was I forget how many tours he did in Afghanistan and Iraq. Older cat in a wheelchair, not from fighting, but from a car accident. But fighting gave him some real severe PTSD. And it would come up in ways like we've talked about it before. It wasn't 4th of July. It would be like when he would see someone in trouble. Mm-hmm. And it was a violent spot, man. There was definitely a lot of situations that happened where, you know, you don't want to call the police, but you don't know how to disarm somebody. Maybe you should call the police.
Desperate times call for desperate measures kind of thing. It makes you think about it.
But he would wheel up. He was a big cat. He would wheel up like, hey, and there was 2 girls that had to work the overnight shift sometimes. Two young women, and they actually, it was a situation, I think we might have talked about this before, where security like just left him. Like somebody came to fuck him up on some mad meth head shit, and they were calling on the thing for security, and you see the video, security just like walk by and not do shit.
What the fuck?
And this vet dude found out what happened, and he would like stay up all night with him, and that would set off his shit, and it fucked with me because I'm like, man, this isn't like the movies. Like this dude is going through something right now, and he feels the need in a wheelchair to stay up with these young ladies and go with them on every call. Because I forget what his rank was. He ended up getting dishonorably discharged, so he couldn't get a lot of benefits.
I mean, we did talk about this before a little bit, Jason, and the point that I'll make here, and I make this point all the time on stream and often just talking to people about like the veteran experience is 2 things. Like one, a lot of times you get the stolen valor fucking arguments from people about like, well, I don't believe a lot of people who say the shit that they I get mad if someone says they did something that they didn't, which I think is fucking dumb a lot of times. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Marcus and I are both like dudes who directly experienced combat and got all the fucking baggage that comes with that. And we get all the glory for like all the attention and glory for having had that experience, but that should not diminish anyone else's experience. In fact, what it does is it incentivizes people to, in order for them to have their humanity recognized or any sort of status, even if they're in desperate circumstances, is to exaggerate or outright fabricate what their experience in the military was like, right? So what you end up doing is you end up having, and I'm not saying this is the case with the guy you're talking about, but it could be, because how could you know? You went there with him. It's like, even if you looked at his service record, you couldn't tell, but what ends up happening is there's a ton of people who experience a shit ton of trauma. We're talking about the monopoly that veterans have on trauma before, right? And there's only a couple specific buckets you can put trauma in without a stigma, without having people look at you funny for being like, get over it, you're a pussy, kind of shit. And right now we're at a point where like that used to be literally like combat trauma was not a bucket. You could put that shit in where people would accept you afterwards. But that's not the case anymore. It is like a very accepted that like if you have PTSD, if you have like horrible symptoms of trauma and traumatic stress, and you end up like having flashbacks, having nightmares, having a proclivity for self-medicating with drugs and alcohol, like a good excuse is to say, I was in the fucking war, whatever war that might be. So a lot of people end up latching on to that. And sometimes I think they believe it. Sometimes they served, maybe they didn't see combat. Sometimes they didn't serve at all. And sometimes they just start like, people believe their own lies if they tell them for long enough, But there's so many guys. I worked in the veteran service space for a while. That's how I actually met Marcus to begin with. But I've met so many guys that have told a story about how like they told too many similar stories, and I don't believe them a lot of times. I don't call them out. Like I understand why they tell them, but like the story about like the guy who pulled the trigger to end his own life, and it was a dumb what do you call it? A dud round, Like you see the indent on the fucking bullet, but the primer didn't ignite. And the bullet didn't go. And I knew then that I had a higher purpose or some shit, and I had to get help. And really, what they're just saying is that I felt like horrible enough to want to end it, but I didn't end up doing it. And now I have a story to tell, and I feel like I can help others. But there's a couple baskets that they put that shit into, and they tell these stories. And what it's a condemnation of is not them as a person, but what we accept as a narrative for them to be able to talk about the trauma that they did experience, whether it be military sexual trauma, whether they were abused outside of the military, whether they experienced some kind of horrible violence when they were living on the street, like you said. Experience every day in Oakland that people don't give a fuck about. But if me, Afghanistan, that's different. That's okay.
And you know why that's a huge problem real quick, and I don't want to get on it too long, is because the trauma that veterans suffer is in every movie, right? We see it and we cry, Deer Hunter. Oh. But when I try to explain the stories that I hear from people in the shelter, from a lot of people, it's in one out the other.
Yeah, they don't have a
well, they didn't do this. So I had some kids in the shelter, and I got promoted before I left, and part of my new job was to find activities. And the first thing I wanted to do was get some sort of schooling for these little kids. They're 4 or 5, and one was a little older, preteen. And I met a woman also in the shelter. She taught. And I was like, hey, what if you feel up to it, can you teach these kids how to read? She was like, I'd love to. I haven't done it in years. It'd make me feel good just to help somebody. Thank you. All right. Word. These kids need some learning. You need something to feel good about. Perfect.
Yeah.
The older kid he's with his younger siblings doing some work, and I'm kind of upset that I don't have anything for his age group. And he tells me he hasn't been to school in 8 years.
Jesus Christ.
That's not what justice looks like, that can exist. Now, a lot of people, if you tell that story, the first thing people say is, well, why don't you take him away from his mom? I'm like, is that going to be better? Maybe he goes to school, but that's still trauma.
Yeah, and your solution is for me to have another kid now. Like I am now responsible for this other human, as though I have the means to be able to do that effectively. You're assuming that too.
So, you know what I mean? Like this is daily, right? Like every day you deal with somebody that acts up, you call them out on acting up, and then they sit you down or you sit them down and they tell you this story about how they got to where they are. And more often than not, it's generational. There was definitely some stories here and there of people kind of bad shit happen. But overall, a lot of people, it was generational. It wasn't as simple as just drugs and alcohol. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if you got the veteran's hat and it's drugs and alcohol, people go, oh, okay, well, you know, he saw some shit. It's like, no, you don't understand what these people see out there on them streets, what becomes normal to you. I lived across the street from it. I didn't live in the camp, but when I say across the street, I'll find a way to post a picture so y'all motherfuckers can see what I'm talking about. When they threw the Molotov at the car across the street from me and I ran outside, that's real shit. But that then becomes my reality, that somebody can throw a Molotov at a car like it ain't shit. Mm-hmm. And when that becomes my reality, I get a little jumpy.
Of course. You'd be crazy not to, right?
My girl ran behind me the other day. I had headphones in. And she grabbed me because she was trying to get my attention, and I swung back around and hit her. And there wasn't nobody else in the house. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. But it's just it's a reaction. Yeah. And I agree with you. PTSD is in a lot of different places where we don't really look at, and bringing it all the way back to the police. It ain't always the shootings that make us jumpy. It's every stop. Mm-hmm. It's every get out. It's every let me run your license even though you're in the passenger seat of a fucking Uber. Mm-hmm. You know, it's that shit that makes people jumpy, that makes people angry.
Because it's the perception that you are in a dire state. That you, even if, let's say, the cop like shows up and he's actually in a great mood and he has no intent of pulling his gun. He's just there. I mean, you see it actually. Here's a good example. Have you ever seen these horribly fucked up videos? And they make me so fucking angry to watch these videos where the cops pull someone over for no reason to give them a present. To be like, do you know I pulled you over today, ma'am? Actually, it's just to give you this Christmas present. We're down here in Biloxi, and we think you deserve this. Hello, it's a good day for you to get pulled over by the Biloxi PD. We wanted you to have this sweater that has got the Biloxi PD emblem on. Thank you so much. God bless. Goodbye. Like, it's just like they're filming propaganda.
That's a power trip.
Yes, and you see the person absolutely fucking terrified up until that point. And often it's a person of color because, of course, like they have a reason to be terrified.
That's the abusive husband giving the wife he beats on flowers.
Yes, or the like, I'll raise a hand and then not actually hit you and be like, oh, you're lucky that I didn't actually fucking like I raised my hand but I didn't actually swing. You know, that's hand, not a closed fist. You know.
that's what I was trying to get at with the piece that I wrote. I put a link up to it. I'll put another one up there. I definitely want to get people's opinions on it. But there's a power trip by the state, and the police is just an arm of that powerful fucking Death Star like being that is the state. And we're not going to reform it away. We're not going to vote it away. We're not going to vote Biden in and then kumbaya him to the left.
No.
Especially if these other appendages stay in place. Pelosi stays in place. McConnell stays in place. I don't really think Schumer's going anywhere. So even though you have some new voices in the House, they're not the majority. And they're going to get silenced real fucking quick.
No, but what I would say is, like, for example, actually, I would love to check in on this if the votes have been counted. But, for example, today you had a primary election in Delaware. Jessica Rain, I believe is how you say her name, running against Chris Coons. Fucking, like, hugely powerful establishment Dem, right? To primary him. And she made a great argument the other day. I listened to her. She was on Chapo, actually. She made a great argument that was basically like every time one of us even comes close to a victory, we expand the imagination of the electorate for what is even possible. And like the argument I would make too is like the argument she made, I should say explicitly, was like we have an opportunity. Like Delaware has less than 1 million people that live in the state, but it has 2 senators, right? So we have an opportunity to actually get enough votes in that state to have to use the electoral college, which we think is completely unfair, against them. The establishment uses it to centralize their power. We can use it against them. If we win some of these seats in these states where we have a better chance of actually being able to, even with meager resources, we have a potential for winning a primary where we will have a safely Democratic seat. You win the primary, you win the election. Like AOC shows that. And even I would say AOC, we brought up her earlier. AOC has I can't remember which committee she's on, but she's on a committee, which is like very unheard of for like a freshman congresswoman. But she has status. So they gave her a committee because of her status. So like Marcus makes this argument to me all the time. And if you can stay with us, Marcus, please do it. But like you always remind me that like when I am doomering about electoralism and how fucking dumb and pointless it is, and I just want to fucking burn everything down, he tells me like, Dick, like Marx defined a framework where electoralism is legitimate, and that's how we can bring about the state that further our ideology. I mean, Marcus, you can say it better than I can. I'll shut up now.
Before you say that, there's a comment. Tablet. It says, can you see? I don't know if you can see the whole thing. Ocean Breeze says they just voted on the budget for CPD here, and they tabled it indefinitely, 3 to 4. The idea was to take away their least lethal weapons, reduce money spent on riot gear, etc., and potentially end the use of tear gas, but it didn't pass.
Yeah.
No, that seems like those like. You need to do everything in your power to make those people lose their jobs. But I mean, when we're talking about House seats and electoral politics, like I always stress to say this now is that like Marx believed in this shit, right? In creating transition states and doing so in a peaceful manner through electoral politics. He also observed what would happen if people were not able to do so, right? And like, oh damn, check the book. And that's where you talk about revolutionary, actions and whatnot, right? So, yeah, like I think on the left we don't get many wins, but we got to recognize the wins. And I think, I've talked about it before too, is that we're going to have a good time in November. And I'm not talking about Joe Biden or Trump.
Down ballot races.
I can't wait I think Corey Bush is probably like the one that I might just watch that. I hope Nina Turner goes down to party with her too, because I mean that's something that that's worth celebrating. That's a win. That's a huge fucking win to have just to have Corey Bush, nurse, Black Lives Matter activist, and I mean I mean at some point
She's
she was
about
living
it.
at her car. Yeah, she was
Yeah.
living at her car too, right? So like, you don't get that in Congress
No,
at all.
the candidates don't look like the people, and the problem that we have with electoral politics is that there's people trying to see themselves in these candidates where it's like, look, dude, Obama and you have nothing in common. I know that black fucking story that they try to push on Obama, where he's raised by a single mom. Why was the fucking mom single? The mom and dad met at Harvard, and where did he go off to study? Would he go up to like Oxford to go study? His dad didn't leave her for like another bitch with a fatter ass.
Yeah.
It wasn't why my parents got divorced.
Yeah.
The Obama single parent household story is not the fucking narrative that we want to think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And to see these candidates like Corey Bush, hell, like AOC, like more regular ass people that do regular ass shit, where the only insult they can throw at them was like, go back to your regular job, bitch.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't afford to get my JD, you ice-chewing psychopaths. Suck my fucking dick.
Right? Like, real talk.
And it really like, it kind of sucks because we're running out of time. When you're looking at climate change, we're running out of time.
Right time.
Marcus's plan of electoral politics is not going to run. It just ain't gonna happen. Unless every fucking thing goes right, in which case the progressive
And Jessica Rain lost handedly, by the way. So
yeah.
we're officially out of time. This was the last straw. We're
In
fucked now.
Delaware?
But no, and but that's the thing is like, this is the thing, right? Going after a Senate seat, fuck, come on, like that is a huge lift versus going after a House seat.
True.
Winning a statewide election, it doesn't matter what the fuck state, California or fucking Delaware, it's tough.
Well, it took Corey Bush 3 times in just her district. Or
just for a House seat, right? 3 times for a House seat. So when you're talking about incumbents, like that thing is like Chris Coons, like this motherfucker he's one of the staples, right? He's one of the made fucking men. And you're entrenched indeed. And yeah, so you're not, if she thought she was going to win first try, she probably wasn't, but like, I don't think, I hope not, because there's a lot of progressive candidates that have been inspired by Bernie Sanders. And if you've been inspired by Bernie Sanders, you got to realize AOC is not the story of Bernie Sanders. Corey Bush is. Winning on a 3rd try is the way things are done.
But
Jamal Bowman isn't the Bernie Sanders story. You know that, and we got to recognize that, and we got to be all in for people that tried once, and we got to make sure, like, hey, we're still behind you, and we're going to keep it rolling. Except for the next 2 years now, it's campaign season, and every single thing that Chris Coons does, Jess needs to be saying, "Remember, I told you." And that just the ongoing dump, because like these Democrats aren't going to change.
Well, let me ask this question.
Change minds.
Let me ask this question to your electoral politics question. And I'm definitely more of the mind of I think if you're a politician that's got their hand in the street, like really with the people, not campaigning like, hey, this is what I'm all for, but like actually out there organizing and putting together the movement, opposed to just trying to be kind of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see that a little bit more. We see it a little in Oakland. I can't speak for where you guys live. There's definitely people that are running for like council and other seats in Oakland that are kind of part of movements, and now they're trying to ascend to the next level. Even with a person whose name I say probably too much on this show, Shahid Buttar, who was an activist for years in D.C. And the Bay Area. Now it's his time to try to ascend to the next level, which is, defeat Nancy Pelosi. I don't really see too many politicians or people trying to run for offices doing that, because it becomes all about electoral politics, and all these newly minted leftists that we got from 2016 Bernie, that are going to be that are just angry right now. Everybody's angry, right? Oh, they did it again. Of course they did it again. It's the establishment. What the fuck do you think the establishment is, bitch? Isn't that why you was mad in the first place?
I mean, what I would say is, like, well, let me link this back to something we talked about earlier, which is Fred Hampton. So, like, you're right. There's anger, but there's no solidarity, and there's no solidarity because there's no community. Now, what I would say, like Fred Hampton is like literally like one of the milestones or founding fathers of the Black radical tradition, as people would colloquially refer to it, right? And like he literally say famously, "I am a revolutionary. Say it back with me." Make you repeat it so that you knew that like you were part of a movement. But that movement was easier to build when there were like, and this is what was his downfall, is that his community, the Black community, is, and here I am saying this as the only white guy on the stream, asshole. The Black community built solidarity through the shared pain and suffering of their community, right? Like they basically band together, like we're segregated into into communities in these cities where no one else is going to help us but each other. So that's what we're going to have to do. And so they build their sense of community together, which builds a sense of solidarity through their shared suffering, which allows them to actually build a movement. Like a movement can come out of that. But the left doesn't really have an equivalent at this point. We have factions that have a glimmer of that. We have, we've talked about it earlier, the Green Party. You have the People's Party. We have glimmers of
PSL.
Yeah. I'm a member of DSA. We've got like About Face Veterans, for example, a group that we're like big proponents of, which is just anti-war veterans movement. But like it's a fractured community, and our material conditions are not linked in a way that would allow us to build the solidarity that would be required to actually have a movement. So right now what we're trying to do is piece together factions wherever we can to build enough of a coalition, a leftist coalition, to win a fucking meager House seat or something, right? But the thing that's changing right now, like the thing that's changing is that people's material conditions are getting worse. I think the unfortunate reality is also that, like, in the past, when material conditions got worse, people had no choice but to build solidarity out of a sense of survival, right? And that some of that's happening now. People are more angry, so those connections are being built. But we also still have, even in desperate circumstances, there are still a lot of distractions. There is still the existence of my phone and fucking Twitter and fucking YouTube and Netflix and some creature comfort that can give me some sort of like peace, sense of peace, and sense of like a fucking meager shot of dopamine into my brain. And we are more transfixed by those things now than ever. Not to be like a fucking put down your phone asshole who's fucking like Facebook fucking Facebook meme woke meme guy who's like about this. But like I do think that there's a strong argument to be made that like the the internet has broken our brains to a certain degree that is preventing us from having the solidarity that we should. And I see it myself, like I see it myself all the time. I wish that there was. I wish that we had a greater ability. I wish the internet was making it easier for us to build solidarity than it actually is. I think that it's building a faux sense of solidarity, a parasocial relationship that mimics solidarity, but not a real movement that has any power.
There was somebody posted something. I think David Griscom from the Michael Brooks show posted something about hashtag activism. And I definitely have my feelings about hashtag activism. That being said, I've met some good people on the internet that I've seen in real life, that I've organized with in real life, that I've canvassed with in real life. So I think there's something to be said about the power of the internet and some of that quote unquote hashtag activism. I don't think that it's to the level of what we saw back in the 60s and 70s. And a big reason why is because the Panthers couldn't tweet about clinics. The Panthers couldn't tweet about kids not eating breakfast in the morning. Yeah. That was something they felt they had to fix, and they had to do something about it, and they did it. There's a group in West Oakland called West Oakland Punks with Lunch, and I want to say once a week or twice a week they make lunch for the homeless people in West Oakland. It's a lot, and it really is a handful of punk rock kids that spend their money and whatever donations they can scrounge up, and they feed tons of homeless people, and they give them like Narcan and care packages and clean needles. Like, that is that real shit that you can't hashtag. Mm-hmm. Now you can share what they're doing. You can help fund what they're doing so they can grow this operation into something much bigger. But nothing beats boots on the ground. I'm going to get in there with the people doing shit. I mean, that was a big reason why I took that job at the shelter, because I could talk all the shit in the world about the problem. Oh man, you got to get out there and do it, and not just do it, but like listen to what people are saying. We all have an idea about how to fix the problem, but if we don't listen to what people's problems are, we don't know what the fuck it is we're trying to fix.
Yeah, and I would smarter people than me have said this too, but two things there. One, getting out there and doing it is not a selfless act. It is, and that's a good thing. Like, you will get much more of a sense of satisfaction by actually doing something than you ever will by fucking posting. And I can speak from personal experience about that. Like, doing, especially when you get to see the impact directly, like, or see someone's imagination be broadened to expect more from their government, or open a paradigm that they weren't even aware of by doing something like canvassing and organizing, or getting to share someone's experience and having that be enough to change someone's mind or something. Like, those are real experiences that are horribly mimicked online. In fact, what I would say is the second thing is raising awareness is not activism. It's proven time and time again. There's the best example I can think of is this fucking the Coney 2012 bullshit. Is it for those of us who are old enough to remember when we're gonna do a dance and put up a flyer, and this fucking the world. I remember I was in college at the time when this went down, and I remember I had some friends of friends who were telling me about how they were super into the Coney thing, right? And I remember sitting down with them and being like, so you know that the money that you're giving, first of all, majority of it, when you're giving it to these guys, is just being spent to create merch so they can sell more shit, right? And also, the money that they are giving, they're giving to the to the government, which is actually also is responsible for more war crimes, more human rights violations than Coney and the Lord's Resistance Army. So like you actually might be buying a bullet to kill people that you're trying to save. And trying to explain like your even they took it a step beyond awareness, right? They were trying to do activism to like raise money, which I thought was being impactful. But what Coney proved is like at the end of the day, they might have raised a lot of money, but when they did their in-person events where they were actually trying to like even a meager march, you know, people didn't show up.
Really?
Yes, it was a purely online event. Like people went out and put up flyers and shit. They did like the little like canvassing thing, but then later, like they had like even then our attention spans were shorter. 8 years ago, right? Like where the Coney, the Coney 2012. So it erupted overnight, and then like literally like millions of it became the most viewed shit in the history of ever. And it died before they even were able to they had the event scheduled for the video that went viral. It was like a week later. It was too far away. So people didn't even show up for that. So like the raising of awareness thing doesn't actually work. And we see that borne out, especially again today. The only changes, a real change that we've seen has been when something drastic has happened. The police station burned in Minneapolis and their department was gutted. You saw a similar thing happen with the guy in upstate New York who got his fucking skull cracked open on the concrete.
Oh, in Rochester, that was horrible. He died, right?
No, he lived.
I thought he died recently. No, am I tripping?
If he did,
I could be tripping.
You're right. I could have missed it.
I hope I'm tripping.
I know if he died, it must have been recently because I know he was alive for a while after it happened.
Somebody tell us what's up.
Yeah, if you know in the chat, I don't even remember his name. I should remember it. But yeah, I mean their department had some major reforms as well. And this is borne out in any struggle you look at. If you look at the Palestinian-Israeli struggle, for example, the Israelis will tell you that like I can't believe that the Palestinians resort to violence, but the only reforms they've ever scraped by have been from things like doing the intifadas. That's the only way these things have got done. So let's not pretend that like doing the kneeling, even the performative things that like people will fucking get angry about. Let's not pretend that those things actually work. First of all, you don't want us to do them because you'll be angry about those anyways. But second of all, let's not pretend that they actually motivate you to do anything. The cops show up to block the streets for you. And they laugh and go home and continue to go fucking cave people's skulls in the next day after you do it. It doesn't change their mind. There's no pressure involved. There's no leverage until you make them suffer a consequence. And if you can't do it electorally, there's other ways that it's done.
But that gets to my whole point about what's vengeance and justice. And so I think those two words are so intertwined. And I don't think they should be. And when we see this dude kill these cops, I was reading I read the comments, man.
They didn't die. They're both alive, right?
Yeah, they're both alive.
Yeah.
I think one was like a mom, and I forget how old the other guy. You know, they definitely tell the story. Right? When these kids get shot, you know, the only story is thug, gun, knife, weapon.
Yes. How much weed did they smoke ever? You know,
pictures of them with gold fronts, listening to rap music. Daniel Prude, if that's the same person, he did pass away. That's from Annie Wiley.
Oh shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's fucked up, right? And again, nothing happens to the officers. We never know the officers' backstory. We never know how many people they called the N-word. We never know how many women they beat. Like, that's never a story. And I love true crime. If there's anybody on here that likes true crime, I go to sleep to the sound of Bill Curtis's voice from American Justice and City Confidential. So there was a City Confidential that comes on like a gajillion times, and you can see it on Amazon. And it's the story of this one cop that murdered a woman. She's white and she lived in an affluent area because he busted her son's friend, and the son's friend did that thing that people do when they get in trouble. They're like, well, I can tell you about a guy that's a bigger dealer, and he tried to snitch out. And then, all this bullshit happens, but these are just kids in the suburbs selling their parents weed stash and pills.
Yeah.
And the cop ended up kind of catching the wrath of this woman, the mom. And this mom was like, look, man, you're not going to fucking try to railroad my son. And this story, it doesn't really get into it because it's American Justice for A&E. It's more of a story of a rogue cop killing this woman. But it's a story of like class and privilege too, because a poor mom doesn't have the same resources to do the same things and get the same outcomes and get people to listen to her. Ultimately, the guy set up a fake sting with some cops that didn't know his whole story, and came in and shot the woman, like pretty much assassinated her.
I'm surprised it ever came to light that that's what actually happened.
Oh, well, then the guy, again, because of who he shot and who he killed, where it happened, all the cops' backstory comes out, that he was a bad dude. He had gotten kicked off different forces, but he was able to get a job at this department. Like, a lot of times we never hear these stories about these cats that have these bad records. But even when we got dudes like Khalif Browder, the young man that ended up killing himself because of the pressure he got from the deposition. When they were asked how in 7th grade, didn't she get suspended for yelling at a teacher and fighting and da-da-da-da-da? That's insane that part of his record is part of the deposition. And that's the level that we put the victims on trial. But these perpetrators of this violence, the state never gets put on trial.
And not only that they have the... Hi, Erica. I see your comment. Hello. Thanks for joining us.
Is that Erica from your crew?
It is. That's Erica, the white trash socialist. She is watching us right now.
Are you going to add her in on the thing?
I mean, if she wants to join, Erica, like you totally can. I actually am going to have to go in a minute. My wife's going to yell at me. It's my bedtime.
It's 11 where you are.
Yeah.
But shit, we hit our 3-hour mark.
I mean, if you want to stay on and Erica is available, I mean, we can make that happen.
What say you, Erica?
Yeah, if you're down, Erica, say yes, and I'll send you a link. Okay. But what was I talking about?
Poor Dick is falling asleep.
I'm sundowning. I'm fucking pulling a Biden right now. It's past my bedtime, and I can't think of my own fucking name anymore.
Just text Dick to
3011.com/RedTube. I've been using this image. The other day was 9/11 was the famously the anniversary of the day that Ted Cruz liked the porno tweet. And it's the famous image of like the MILF going like the porno tweet that he liked. So I just kept like using this image to like quote tweet Ted Cruz and stuff. And I actually used it. I actually used it again tonight for our stream of like announcing our stream. Like, we're live with this revolution. Just
2696969.
That's how you can subscribe by texting 696969. All right.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I think I was talking about we were talking about how
so Buffalo Guy's alive, by the way.
Yes, Martin Gugino. Yes, so there's two. Rochester guy, Daniel Prude, was killed by the police, but he's not the guy I was referring to. Someone was able to suss out from my dumbass remarks, my sundowning remarks, that I was actually talking about Martin Gugino, who did recover after they split his head
That's
open.
blood in the ear, right? Blood
Yeah.
coming out of his ear, guy.
Yeah, they shoved him down on video, and then all the fucking cops resigned from this task force in solidarity and pretended like they actually quit their jobs because someone had dare question them for fucking brutalizing an old man for no fucking reason. And then, oh, by the way, so you mentioned OAN earlier. Did you hear about how they covered that story?
Oh God, how?
They said, so if you look in the video, Martin, he walks up to them and he's like, "What the fuck are you guys doing? Like, there's nothing happening. And you're all fucking kitted out."
Was he like handing somebody their helmet that they dropped or something?
No, he had his phone in his hand.
This is his phone in his hand. Okay.
He was waving his hands around, right, around them. Like, look, you got all this shit on. He's obviously just like gesturing and saying like, "Look at all this shit you got on. Like, fuck, what the fuck is like all this equipment for? Are you stupid?" And he's like a long history of activism.
I saw that. Yeah, peaceful activism. He's like a priest, wasn't he?
Like hippie peacenik shit. Yes.
Yeah.
He's like, Mother Earth doesn't want this or something to these guys, and they tried to say that him like running his phone. OAN did was like what he was doing was skimming. And this is an Antifa practice of actually trying to download the secret codes of the police so that they could intercept communications and interrupt them. Like he's some kind of secret squirrel Antifa super soldier.
Why is Antifa, G.I. Joe, and a Transformers all in one?
Because it's a convenient bad guy for them to create. It doesn't exist.
Either Antifa is a white dude with pink hair and a dress on that's got a copy of the Communist Manifesto in his hand. He's really skinny. Or it's like Jason Bourne. Make up your fucking mind.
Well, there's a long history of this narrative where, okay, there's like, it's convenient for two reasons. One, you make it unappealing by saying that your enemy is a soy boy cock who, whose penis is made of a needle, and couldn't we could kill in a moment if we wanted to, and they're lucky that we're actually as easy on them as we are. But also they're a tremendous threat, and there's big dicked fucking like super soldiers with batons and spiked bats and shit who are ready to come rape your daughter and shit. Like those are they need it's like a Schrodinger's Antifa that exists in both realities at once, so that they can both emasculate them and conjure and fearmonger at the same time, right? And the reality is that narrative is convenient because also what you can do is in keeping with the super soldier narrative, accuse them of the most ridiculously over the top, like grand lies, heinous lies that you can think of, like they're literally pedophiles. They're satanic pedophiles, like QAnon shit. And you create these narratives that are so fantastical that they must be true, like you tell a big lie, and the people believe it, kind of thing.
You really have to. Again, we said this earlier in the talk. We were talking about the Satanic Panic and the McMartin trial and a lot of other child molestation trials that happened in the 80s. You really, 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 really have to look into the things that those kids said in that trial, and then watch the news stories from it, because they really were saying things like, yeah, and then they had the devil worshippers come in, because these kids were watching like horror movies.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of prominent examples of this, actually. There's the hypnosis thing where you can basically, like, through power of suggestion, get people to tell you whatever they want. There's one, I remember there was a case of like one woman who had what they call what DID now, dissociative identity disorder at the time, multiple personality disorder. And they would like drug her up and hypnotize her, and like they would see like how many personalities they could get to come out of her, and then she would talk about how like she had killed people and stuff, because she had like been convicted of crimes in prison, and this was trying to get away from her of actually confessing or telling details about the crimes that she committed. And what they realized, we talked about Star Wars earlier, is at one point she was literally telling the scene about how Luke cuts the Tauntaun open and crawls inside.
Yeah.
Like I remember cutting something open with a knife, and someone put it together like, oh, she's now like she's just disassociating and telling things about a movie that she saw, you know. It was similar to things like the same we talked about the Salem witch trials. The Salem witch trials are these girls, like they saw one girl get attention from the fact that she said she had horrible nightmares, which she did, which reminded her of someone in town or something. Mm-hmm. And then all these girls started creating their own narratives. They created this self-fulfilling prophecy that is like this weird, like psychological effect. I mean, that you can install, like I said earlier too, the veterans, like when they start to exaggerate their service records, like all these World War II guys who will tell you like that they were there on fucking Normandy and D-Day. And like you'll be like, wait a minute, what year were you born? And they'll be like 1948. You know, like, how would that work? Like they genuinely believe they were there. Like there's a ton, like the Brits will tell you too. There's a ton of these old Brits that will tell you they were there during the Blitz. Like they were born in 1964. Yeah. Like it's a narrative of convenience that allows them to.
Everybody was at Woodstock.
Yeah. I was there. Or Altamont. I watched fucking the Hells Angels kill that guy at Altamont Speedway. You know, like these cultural narratives that they will give them status, and I genuinely believe that they believe it after a while. They tell the lie so many times that they don't know any better. But the cognitive dissonance is politics is not devoid of that narrative either. Like the QAnon people, the right wing people have and it's not just the right wing. I would say like they're conditioned to a degree to believe that their opponents, those are so morally abhorrent that I must create a narrative and it must be true. That justifies the hatred and violence that I wish to commit against them. So I can literally do like Jakarta method shit, like the Indonesian like genocide, which we're not far from. Honestly. Like we're not far from like the Rittenhouse, Kyle Rittenhouse killing those two people and becoming lionized by the right is not far from paramilitary gangs with tacit or explicit government endorsement of killing leftists who they believe to be about to overthrow Trump and his government, despite us having no power whatsoever.
That was part of my talk with Clyde Barrow, the professor that wrote that book, The Dangers Lumpen Proletariat. He really feels that Rittenhouse, to your point, should be a big warning beacon to us. Yes, that is me, 40 Ounce of Freedom. Listen to the show on SoundCloud. That way I can see if people are listening and I can feel good about myself when I see the numbers go up. All bullshit aside.
They should listen for a number of reasons. Because interview very interesting people, and
I do.
You're a very damn good interview.
I do get some people.
Earlier today, like I was like, Jason is like better at interviewing than any of us is when we stream and stuff. Like there's a reason that I want to keep going back and talking to him is because you're good at it.
I just want to be the Black Larry King, man.
You could be.
Like just have my girl is younger than me. I got a kid running around. I'm almost there. I'm almost there.
Now I can't stop thinking about you doing a Larry King impression.
You know what? Pretty soon, I'm getting back. If anyone that's new to this show, I have a rat problem in the studio.
Yes,
and I haven't been back to the studio in over a month now. So now that I'm not working, I'm gonna go try to handle this rat problem. And I'll be doing shows in the studio. We actually have like lights and all this other shit. And on the side, advertising note, we hooked up with some people at Ground Game LA. Marcus mentioned Ground Game LA. They do some stuff for Ground Game LA, but they're a group of leftists, like animators and filmmakers. And we're about to do this thing called Revolutionary Histories. And they're going to be like 2-minute animated history lessons of things that either we don't talk about or it gets like really fucked up spin. So the first thing we're going to do is the ascension of China. told by Professor Ken Hammond, who's part of the Chow Collective. He was on my show to do a debunking show about myths about China. And he did like a 3-part, probably 9-hour series about the history of China from when they were the empire to when they were this poor third world country to where they are now and how they got there. It's very, very academic. So one of the people that's part of the collective actually used to be a writer on Robot Chicken. So we're going to take all that and condense it down into a series of like fun, informative little things. And we got edutainment. Gloria Lariva is going to do a history of the Cuban Revolution and Castro, and it's going to be fun. So if you got anything that you guys want to do history wise that you think would be cool.
Shit, I'm thinking like bonus army shit would be pretty
Ooh.
awesome.
Bonus army for me.
Uh-oh. I lost you, Jason. If you can hear me. I can't hear you. You're frozen.
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay.
You froze.
I always feel like Corona is Trump's bonus army.
I mean,
like in the sense of like, hey, it's a wrap for you, homie.
It should be, but I don't. We're Biden snatching defeat from the jaws of victory right now. So I don't know what. Fuck. Like that's absolutely what it should be. There should have been many bonus armies for Trump. Should have been many things that prevented him from winning the nomination, the GOP nomination at all. But it's not.
You can spin kids in cages. You can spin that. You can't spin Herman Cain dead.
They are though. Literally, Herman Cain's ghost is spinning his own death. Like I said, the Cain gang is real, bro. I'm not making that up.
I'm not saying you're making it up. I'm just saying the reality says you can't spin it. You can get some asshole to write some tweets for Herman Cain and say this shit isn't a big deal. Herman Cain died of the flu. You can get that shit all day long, but real talk, when you got real motherfuckers dying, real poor people dying, your base actually dying, and that's another thing we have to understand. The people that a lot of them are dying in really dense areas. So,
well, what I would say, and smarter people than I have said this, and I really gotta go after this.
Okay.
All night, brother, but I'm gonna get divorced here if I don't.
Don't do that.
I don't want to be ex-wife guy again. But like smarter people than I have said this. But what's happening right now is that Corona is a horrible thing that is happening. But if the government does nothing, they know that they can get away with it because this is a disease, a pandemic, which instead of blaming them for not stopping it, not doing anything, we will begin to blame each other, which we are doing. So the libs are all saying, oh my God, wear a mask. Oh my God, I can't believe you're not wearing a mask. Everyone that doesn't wear a mask is fucking Hitler. Fuck you, and just losing their minds and thinking that like there's like they can signal that they are a good person and they're doing the right thing. And anyone who doesn't should be shot. And there's no reason that they shouldn't think the way that they do or have access to the information that they do, right? But on the other side of the spectrum, the GOP is just going to tell you China did it. This is not our fault.
Yeah.
There's nothing we could do. But China, the Wuhan virus was maybe created in a lab, and all of us are going to and the red dragon has come and sneezed on us, and now it's we should probably kill them all. We should probably nuke them because we have the greatest economy that ever was, and they destroyed our great economy, didn't they, folks? Like that. As long as you have someone to blame for Herman Cain's death, it doesn't matter that he's dead. It matters whose fault it is. And neither Biden is also doing the red dragon shit. He's saying, Trump's saying, it's China's fault, and Biden's response to that is saying, yeah, and China's bad, and you're friends with China and Putin. You fucking
no, I agree. They're I agree from that standpoint. My thing is, Herman Cain isn't Newt Gingrich, and if it would have been a different Republican operative that died, we'd be looking at this a little differently. Even Steve Bannon, even like a Steve Bannon type character dying of corona. And we haven't had our Rock Hudson corona moment, as one of my good friends said. The Rock and his family just got corona. And, you know, I enjoy some of his movies. Moana was great. My son loves it. So
I love Moana too. Moana's dope.
I've had to watch it quite a bit.
Yeah, you haven't. I don't know if you've seen this, but you don't know how much shit I get for appreciating the musical stylings of Lin-Manuel Miranda. I think he's horrible.
He's nails it.
I know he's good. Like the music in Hamilton is also good, and they give me so much shit on the stream. Anyone who's here right now, like in the chat, can attest about this. I don't agree to the politics of Hamilton or Lin-Manuel Miranda's politics at all. He's
pretty bad.
He's a shit lib.
Someone says, My Torn Shadow says, I forgot my mask today because my mind was on forced sterilization.
Oh yeah, you should be killed. You're as bad as Hitler.
Well, get off this thing. I'm going to say good night and thank you very much. Thank Marcus for me. I appreciate you guys. And now that I'm on this Twitch thing, like you young people, I see you a lot more. I see you all 85 of you in real life. So it's pretty awesome.
Hell yeah, man. Well, thank you so much for having us on the podcast before, doing the streams with us now. Like I said, there's a reason that we love coming on your show, man. Like, you're very easy to talk to. You're incredibly good interview. You do great work out in Oakland. Let's do this again soon, all right?
Let's do it again soon. Now that we got the streaming thing down, do it again soon.
Hell yeah.
Have a good night, brother.
All right, you too. Night, chat.
Peace. So before you guys hang up, before I end this, don't hang up just yet. Don't hang up just yet. Thank you guys for checking the stream out, whatever platform you were checking it out. I put a link up to my podcast. It's called This Is Revolution. Where we started off as a show to kill time in between tours. I don't know if you guys have been with us this whole time. I'm in a band called Bitter Lake. We're not doing anything right now because of Corona. And this whole thing was supposed to be a music podcast to talk a little bit about politics. And now it's become a political podcast that fucking never talks about music. That being said, the show started off, I had a studio, and in that studio was a ton of bands from Slayer and Faith No More and Rancid and Too Short, and the list goes on and on and on and on. Yes, I am on Twitter at I believe the hashtag is, I think it's this. I'm going to write it. It's TIR. I think that's it. And so we're gonna start doing more streams with music guests. So the streams are gonna start being Tuesday night and Sunday afternoon, or Sunday early evening for you East Coast people. And the podcast drops on Sunday morning and Wednesday mornings. And the upcoming show is with a very good, he's a writer and lawyer and homeless activist here in San Francisco, but he's written several books on housing in general and homelessness in general. His name is Randy Shaw. And Sunday, the show will be with author Richard Rothstein that wrote The Color of Law. Oh, it's TR Show Oakland. Sorry. My bad. Thank you, 40 Ounce of Freedom. I'm that bad with my own shit. I'm sorry. I had to get a whole new thing for this show because we rebranded it. You don't care to hear all that about what it was before. Because like I said, it was like a music show. So I would have our band friends on. And we would have funny conversations about new metal and being black in metal and heavy music in general. And I do have friends in heavy music that are very involved with politics. You've been in the metal for a while? Well, then definitely check out the band, please. Bitter Lake is the name. Let me try to find it. Shit. I'm gonna find it. Well, it's on. You know what? Look up. Shit. How do I do this? You guys got me doing 15 things at once, and I'm not good at doing one thing at once. So I'm gonna try to look it up on what's the Spotify. You young people like Spotify. But yeah, we're not doing much musically right now because kind of everyone's focus is this show. We really, 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 and truly love doing the show. Getting to talk to guys like the Left Flank Vets and having we had a 3-hour conversation on air. We talk even longer off air. We were talking for over an hour before we even started pressing record. So this is for right now, this is my thing. I think it's gonna be my thing for a minute. But we also have a Patreon. And put a link to that. You get the show early, and you also get all that I spend on with guys like Blank. That was I think that was because those guys logged off. But anyway, there you go. That's the Patreon. If you guys can, awesome. If you can't, my feelings aren't hurt. I mean, they hurt a little bit. Definitely like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. We don't really say too much music stuff anymore. It's mostly just on this political shit. Another thing we're starting to do is a book. I wouldn't say book club, but a recommended reading list, because definitely a lot of these shows we talk about what we're reading. There's a couple books that I've been reading. We were actually talking about it off air. I'm reading Black Marxism by Cedric J. Robinson. Cedric Robinson he just passed away not too long ago. Is from here in Oakland. Very interesting book. If you go back and listen to some of the older podcasts I have another professor named Cedric Johnson that had a critique of this book, which was very, very interesting, and racial capitalism. So definitely go back and listen to that episode if you can. And I'm also reading State and Revolution by Lenin. So no, I don't have a Discord server. Not at the moment. I think I did, and I just didn't really follow it too much. Step Up Reading Game. You know what? I'm not sponsored by these people, but I got Blinkist recently because I was like, let me check this bullshit out. It's definitely a lot of right-wing books in there, like no bullshit. I wanted to hear the Communist Manifesto's in there, and it's really cool if you're like, I don't feel like reading, or maybe I read something and I want to kind of get a refresher on it. Like what do we call those notes? I can't think of it. Cliff Notes, right? And so it gives you like a real cool Cliff Notes version of the Communist Manifesto. It was really cool. So I'm listening to it as I'm going to sleep, and I wake up, and motherfucking Tucker Carlson's book is coming on after that. Tucker Carlson. And then Andrew Yang's book came on after that. I was like, come on, man. So I found out you gotta I pay like $15 a month, and you get unlimited ebooks or whatever, audiobooks, and you get all these, they call them blinks. So it's a whole book in 15 to 20 minutes, and it's worth it. You do more web research. I get the LA Times and Business Insider and the San Francisco Chronicle. And I just stopped paying for the Washington Post. I feel like I have to read those papers to get a feel of what's going on. I don't really watch all the other shows like this, because if you watch too many of those shows, you start talking about their shit. So that keeps me kind of on my own plane, and then just living and dealing with the population that I deal with. But if you guys are in a reading mood and you're going to read on the screen, I'll post it again. I just wrote a piece in Medium about vengeance. It's called "Vengeance Has No Foresight." It's pretty much. I don't have the answers to all the questions. I'm definitely asking a lot of questions in the piece, but I do think that we look at justice and vengeance as like the same things. And of course, I don't believe justice and vengeance are the same things. There's a link to it right there. Let me put it right there. Bam. And it definitely came from me reading a few pieces in the LA Times about the police shooting of the young man that we were talking about on the show. These executioners of the sheriff's department, who and also before they shot that young man, they shot another guy that was just riding a bike, a brother riding a bike, and then this gentleman that, shot the sheriffs that were just chilling in a car, to the way we look at protests and the way that our outrage is co-opted. And before we can even like get tired of being mad, all of a fucking sudden someone's taken the movement and they've marketed it where you can get a real cool Black Lives Matter shirt. And there you go. There's your movement. There's your outrage. And as Colin Kaepernick to me is a complicated person because I understand what he did. Unfortunately, I think it kind of became more about him than even about what he was trying to be about. But the NFL handled the whole kneeling thing really, really horribly. And now they're trying to double down on their horrible acting by like, well, look at what we're doing now. You can lift every voice and sing before every game. And look, we're letting the Negroes interlock arms with white people. And aren't you guys happy? And there's something about that that's very belittling. And in the middle of, we've been talking about elections a lot on this show. And I definitely think the election is important. And don't think that I don't think this election is important. Do I think it's the most important election of our lifetime? No, not really. Reagan got 2 terms. Remember how stupid we thought George Bush, I call him Junior. I know he's got a different middle name. Remember how stupid we thought that motherfucker was? Yes, and Madden has got Kaepernick on the game. I saw that. It's funny as fuck. But real talk, we thought George Bush was the dumbest warmonger in the game, and we were crying to impeach him. Everybody, impeach, impeach, impeach. Every late night show host had a George Bush is so dumb thing. But he was so relatable to the people. He was in the Harold and Kumar movie. He's the guy you can have a beer with. Word? Because I've never had beer with an elite, that level of elite, whose dad was the president and like the head of the CIA, who was the fucking governor of a big ass state, who owned a fucking baseball team. Like, yeah, it's so relatable to the fucking crew of regular ass motherfuckers I hang around. Give me a break. And that was sold to people to the point where there's cats that are mad that he's getting rebranded again as like this just old man wants to paint pictures with Ellen and shit. And we need to get over ourselves because she can be friends with anybody. It's too much bullshit. Right? And I say that because, again, I think a lot of these down ballot races are very important. And one person that I'm definitely behind is Shahid Buttar and his run against Nancy Pelosi. I think nothing embodies the rebels against the empire Star Wars narrative more than Shahid versus Pelosi. This woman, for other people, raised like $84 million in a matter of a few fundraising events for other incumbent candidates. And this dude is I wouldn't say struggling, but it's hard work to raise money to run a campaign against that level of power. Shit don't move until she say it move. And that's why I asked that question. And I'll ask it again as I leave you guys. And maybe you can hit me up on the internet. I mean, I'm not working right now, bro. I'm on it. So hit me up, holler at me. But if Trump does get a second term, but we can see the toppling of these extremely powerful figures like Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi, what then would we expect? Would we expect Trump to call on his lumpen proletariat, as Professor Clyde Burrows says in his book and our show, to snuff out dissent with his brown shirts, if you will, the Kyle, whatever his name is, that killed those people in Kenosha? Or does he kind of act like the silly king that he is and just sit back and just do Trumpy ass bullshit he was doing before Corona made him have to quote unquote work, and he's doing a horrible job of it? I liked it better when he was just trying to get into Kim Kardashian's pants and freeing black women from prison. Kim, please give this fool a cause again so he can do some good shit. But thank you guys. I appreciate you guys for chatting with us. Thank you again to the Left Flank Vets. Thank you, Mike Cobra, for the visuals. Anyone that tuned in, I really appreciate all of you. Phoenix thanks you from the bottom of his slobbery heart. And I'm finally going to eat dinner. Have a good night, guys.